In the midsummer of August, the bright sun is like fire, and the cicadas are constantly singing. Lin Jiexia huddled on the sofa, with a bag of potato chips in hand. The lights in the room were not turned on, only the projector in front of him was glowing faintly. The movie is playing to a point where the fluorescent light is bright, and the fierce ghost suddenly rushes out with grinning teeth. The room suddenly lit up, and part of the furnishings could be seen from the projected light. The whole house was impeccably tidy. On the table are several copies of Competition Training, a black alarm clock, and 3 or 2 black fountain pens. Other than that there is nothing superfluous. It doesn't look neat and out of place here, only the pile of snacks that are scattered here and there. Lin Jiexia watched a movie for a while, and then sent a few messages to a certain chat box with her mobile phone in her hand. Fraud. Definitely a scam. The scariest movie of the year is not scary at all, it can be reported to the National Anti-Fraud Center. Every 10 minutes. Ouch. But this ghost's cry is quite special. Whoops. Another 10 minutes. Half an hour. You haven't called me back yet. Are you fooling around outside? Lin Jiexia lowered her head, and typed out the second half of the sentence word by word with extra seriousness. Then I had so much fun that I forgot about me as a father. A few seconds after these words were sent, there was finally movement on the other side. A line of words appeared on the top of the chat box with the comment taking medicine, typing. After a while, a few lines of arrogant characters appeared on the chat interface through the network. Fooling around, very busy. As for not replying to you because too lazy to chat with people who don't know their seniority. Before she could reply, another message came from the other side. Where did you watch the movie? Lin Jiexia looked around the room. It was completely different from her own room. It looked like a boy's room, and a projector was installed in the living room, which was the main reason why she appeared here today with snacks. But she was a little embarrassed to speak directly, and replied with 3 words, cinema. Thinking that there were no horror movies showing in the theater, Lin Jiexia changed his words, private cinema. Oh, Lin Jiexia knew that this person was not so easy to fool, and sure enough, the next sentence of was, take a picture and see. I have never been to a private theater in my life, let me see the world. Where is she going to take pictures? She couldn't hide it, so she could only answer honestly, your family. Didn't you just buy a new projector, but you went on a long trip right after you bought it, so let me try it for you to see if it works. The other party seemed to have already guessed the answer. After a few seconds, another sentence came over in a dragging voice, so, who is daddy? You. Lin Jiexia pointed her fingers on the screen, omitting even the struggle, and slid to her knees in a gentle manner. It's because I didn't figure out the seniority. Dad. The conversation ended here, but was interrupted by a phone call. Lin He's familiar voice was on the phone. Xia Xia, we'll have dinner later, when are you coming back? I forgot to check the time. Lin Jiexia hurriedly paused the movie. I'll be right back. Lin Jiexia came back very quickly. After Lin He made the phone call, just as the food was on the table, Lin Jiexia had already arrived at the door. Mom, I'm back. Lin He glanced at her. He came from Qi Yao's house. Lin Jiexia didn't expect her to guess right. Why don't you change your career to fortune-telling? Does it matter? Lin He was able to estimate her daughter's movement path according to the time. You came back so fast, you can't just take a walk in the community. But isn't Qi Yao not at home during the holidays? It's, a relative's house is a bit. What are you going to visit relatives? People are not at home, what are you doing at someone's house? Qi Yao. She is small. That is, the one who was talking in the chat box just now. The two have known each other since childhood. Kai's family lived in the building opposite her house, and the distance between them was no more than 3 minutes. When she looked out of the bedroom window, she could see the curtains drawn by his house. Lin Jiexia slowly stuffed the food into his mouth, really embarrassed to say that he unilaterally went to test the quality of Qi Yao's newly bought projector. And when you're at home on vacation, it's always easy to be scolded by Lin He, so I found a reason for myself. He said he was in a hurry when he went out, and he didn't remember whether the window was closed or not, so let me go and see. Lin He was not suspicious. As a high school life expectant, Lin Jaxia spent this holiday in style. She did well in the senior high school entrance examination. After graduation, she naturally didn't have homework during the holidays. Lin He obviously couldn't see her daughter living so chicly. I bought you a few high school textbooks, and you can learn them from the summer vacation, so as not to be unable to keep up after entering school. Lin Jaxia swallowed the meal. High school, teaching materials. Stupid birds fly first, you should understand this truth. Lin Jaxia argued for herself, I have already passed the entrance examination of the district, and I am in the same school as Chi Yao, so I am not considered a stupid bird. The results have been released long ago, and the scores of each school have also been announced. Lin Jaxia's previous mock test scores had been fluctuating up and down. When she encountered suitable papers, her grades rose like a rocket. Fortunately, the final exam paper was quite suitable for her. Lin He concluded, you performed supernormally, which is an accident. And why do you have the nerve to mention that you and Chi Yao go to the same school? Lin He spoke slowly, with a bit of disbelief in his tone, although you are in the same school, you are stuck in the score line to enter, and they exceed the admission score line by more than 90 points. Lin Jaxia felt a little choked on the food in his mouth. But it's strange to say, Lin He changed the subject, with such a high score, he can be admitted to the first place, so how could he stay here? Number 1 middle school is a key high school in Lianyun City. Lin Jaxia didn't report to the city. Firstly, he failed the exam, and secondly, he was too far away from home. The main thing is that I still can't pass the exam. She resolutely applied to the number 2 middle school. Although the two schools were only one stroke behind, the score line was quite different. Although she and Chi Yao were young, they only went to the same elementary school. Because she always hung out with boys at that time, Lin He felt that her personality didn't look like a girl, and threw her to a girls' school after graduating from elementary school. Now that the girls' school career is over, it's been a long time since I went to the same school with this person. Lin Jaxia thought for a while, maybe it's because it's close to home. After finishing speaking, she tried to change the subject. Seeing only her and Lin He at the dinner table, she asked again, where's Uncle Wei? The Lin family is a reorganized family. Lin's father left when she was very young, and Lin He worked hard to support her alone. When she was 7 years old, she met Uncle Wei. It was precisely because of family reorganization that Lin Jaxia moved here when he was 7 years old. Your Uncle Wei's company has something to do. Lin He brought her some food. I guess I'll be back later. Lin He returned to the topic after picking up the dishes. Will the 3 textbooks be enough? I heard that the difficulty of high school has indeed increased a lot. Many people are asking for tutors. 3 books are quite enough. You have nothing to do during the holidays, and you are still idle when you are idle. Lin Jaxia was holding the rice bowl. She was so choked that she couldn't eat it anymore. In the following days, Lin Jaxia lived in dire straits. Gone are the days of hiding at Chi Yao's house and borrowing a projector. In front of her were 3 textbooks, namely, Selection, Summer Improvement Training, Entering High School in Advance and 100 Questions for Thinking Training. 20 pages a day. Every day. 555 Life is pressuring me. I'm so miserable I can't live. When Lin Jaxia was writing questions, she pressed her mobile phone under the textbook, and poked at the screen of the mobile phone word by word. I'm about to be crushed, crushed. The man on the other side responded with his persistent to-go-for attitude. I will burn paper for you in Qingming. Lin Jaxia. After taking a deep breath, she exited the chat interface, clicked on the contact card, and changed the note take medicine that was homonymous with Chi Yao to Chi Dog. The word Chigu is not very depressing. But with her poor vocabulary and good personal qualities, she couldn't think of other more insulting words for the time being. She didn't plan to chat with Qi Yao anymore. She clicked a few times in the contact list and opened another chat box. Then click the output. Qi Yao. You are not human, you are a dog. When you come back, I must beat you. The contact with the note De Zhuang returned a long series of ellipses. De Zhuang. De Zhuang, why are you two having conflicts again? De Zhuang, no, if you scold him, don't talk to me. Lin Jiexia replied, aren't you afraid that you won't be able to beat him? De Zhuang, got it. There are many people of the same age in the community, and De Zhuang is also a member of the group they grew up with. De Zhuang's name is He Yang, and he was fat when he was a child, so he was nicknamed De Zhuang. After He Yang asked about the cause and effect, he comforted her, be content, I sent him a message and he didn't bring it back, and occasionally replied with 2 words, but I still read it. You have, let me count, 6 words. In contrast, my brother Yao gave you such an enthusiastic reply, I couldn't help but feel jealous, so please have fun secretly. This time it was Lin Jiaxia's turn to be silent. Thank you. Lin Jiexia put down her phone and wrote a few more questions. When the clock passed 11 o'clock and was about to take a break, she suddenly thought of the pile of snacks she had left at Qi Yao's house. I wanted to leave it for you to eat, so I didn't borrow your projector for nothing. Lin Jiexia poked the page of the book lightly with the pen tip, and muttered to himself, but I didn't expect you to be a human being. Lin Jiexia thought of this and decided to pay attention. She dropped her pen, trying to get her snack back. When she hurried out, she didn't notice that a dark window suddenly lit up in the opposite building. It's past 11 o'clock. It was pitch black in the neighborhood, only the street lights were still on. Lin Jiexia took the key and ran into the opposite building familiarly. She will have the key to Qi Yao's house, the main reason is that she always went to his house since she was a child. The frequency was too high, and Qi Yao felt annoyed, so he gave her the spare key and let her open the door by herself. This bunch of keys stayed in her hands for many years. Qi Yao's parents are very busy at work, and they usually run business outside, so Qi Yao is basically alone at home. So when Lin Jiexia put the key in the door lock, he didn't pay attention to whether there was a sound inside the door. She opened the door and found that the light inside was actually on. Then she glanced around the living room and saw a black trolley case. The last time she came here, she didn't see this box. She didn't even have time to think about who was back. Next second, the bathroom door was pulled open. The person who came out was wearing a black t-shirt, his hair was not dried, and the slightly long hair fell on his forehead. He was tall, in his juvenile period, and his bones seemed to have not fully grown, so the first impression he gave was that he had a thin waist and long legs. Underneath the black clothes, his skin was so fair that he even looked a little sick. The young man is well defined, his brows and eyes seem to have been accentuated, he is unruly and undisciplined. He is drooping his eyes at the moment, the end of his eyes is long and narrow, and his double eyelids are very deep. Different from the thick and colorful eyebrows, his pupils are unexpectedly light, with a little edge. Qi Yao glanced at Lin Jiexia who opened the door and came in, and after a long while, he calmly said, "Isn't that a surprise?" It seemed that she didn't see Lin Jiaxia's confused expression. He dropped another sentence. "Your father is back." Lin Jiexia knew that he was not good at being a human being, but he didn't expect to be able to stop being a human being to this extent. For a moment she didn't know how to respond. All I could do was hold back a polite greeting, "When did you come back?" Having just taken a shower, Qi Yao spoke with a bit of laziness. "Still can't stop the boy's voice, half an hour ago." "Then do you think it's appropriate for you to talk to me like this as soon as you come back after we haven't seen each other for so long? Where is it inappropriate?" Lin Jiexia complained, "Is that human speech?" "I don't speak human language." Qi Yao raised his eyelids, casually expressing some surprise, "You can understand me. It seems that you have a talent for languages." When the golden retriever downstairs barks again, "Come and help me listen to what it wants to say." This is the end of the conversation. If it continues, it will become that she is not human either. Fortunately, Lin Jixia has a strong adaptability. After all, he has not known this person for a day or two. She said slowly, "I ask you a question, and you have to answer me truthfully." While talking, Qi Yao had already passed her, opened the refrigerator and took out a can of soda from inside. The soda was constantly steaming. He held the can of soda with one hand, and held the can with 3 well-articulated fingers, then bent his index finger, and the index finger snapped into the gap between the tabs. Almost simultaneously with the snap sound of the can being pulled open with one hand, a word came out of his mouth, "Ask. If I hit you now, what are my chances of winning?" 10%. "Let's talk about it." Lin Jixia pricked up his ears, "Let's talk about it." Qi Yao held the can in one hand and put the other on her shoulder. He seemed to be holding her, but in fact he pushed her all the way out the door. Lin Jixia was quickly pushed out by him, and then she watched the dog block her at the door, looked down at her and said, "Now turn around and go home immediately, turn off the light and go to bed, and try to dream of me at night." At the end, he even raised the corner of his mouth and added, "Good night." Lin Jixia returned home, took a shower, and lay on the bed tossing and turning for a long time. She was still so angry that she clicked on the chat box with Chigu. Posted a set of violent beating emoticons to vent their anger. "Beat you, hammer your skull holding a 10 meter machete and slashing all the way Ada." In the end, she followed Qi Yao's example and thought she said coldly, "Good night." She fell asleep quickly after posting. She is a person who rarely spends the night with emotions, otherwise she would not have maintained a friendship with someone like Qi Yao for so many years. When she woke up, she seemed to be fine again. When the South Lane squad sent a group message in the morning asking everyone if they would go to Qi Yao's house to watch a movie together, she bit a fried dough stick and replied yes. The place where they live is called South Lane. Nangxiang is the name of the street at the gate of the community. There are not many people in the group. The main reason for calling it South Alley Squad is that Lin Jixia proposed to use the name of the community at the beginning, which resembled ordinary residents and did not show momentum, while using the street name sounded like a street overlord. This childish speech made by Lin Jixia in elementary school was approved at the time, and the name has not been changed, and it has continued until now. "Mom, I'll go to Qi Yao's house later," Lin Jixia said, "we will organize an event today." Lin He and Uncle Wei sat across from each other and had breakfast. Lin He knew that the children in their circle were close, so he didn't say much, but asked, "Qi Yao is back?" 3 people sat together. Lin Jixia spoke more calmly than usual, "Well, he came back last night." Wei Ping also said very politely, "It's just right, I just bought watermelon yesterday, you can take it there when the time comes, and everyone will share it." Lin Jixia took a sip of soy milk, almost finished eating, and was about to pack up. "Thank you, Uncle Wei." Unexpectedly, before leaving, Lin He did not forget to stuff her with something heavier than a watermelon. "Your vacation homework." Lin He hurriedly organized the homework in Lin Jixia's room, take time to write, so as not to play too late and forget today's homework. Lin Jixia looked at the stack of homework that had tortured her for several days. She said doggedly, "It's not good." "What's wrong?" "I'll take my homework with me." Lin Jixia could imagine how Qi Yao would laugh at her, it would be embarrassing. Lin Jixia tried to persuade Lin He, "Think about it, it's like going out to play with your parents, it's quite inappropriate." Finally responded to her. It was Lin He who closed the door with a bang. Lin Jixia was the first to arrive at this temporary gathering. She and Qi Yao are the closest. After a few minutes, Qi Yao opened the door for her. He looked like he just woke up. The hair is a bit messy, but it looks like it has been deliberately scratched. The air conditioner was turned on very low, and the cold air rushed to the face. He lowered his eyes and glanced at the things in her hand. After taking the watermelon from her hand, Lin Zexia preemptively said, "Did you see my stack of homework? I am a love learning so much. Even if I come out to play, I don't forget to study." Chi Yao let out an "oh." "I'm going to write 20 pages while playing today." Lin Zexia carried the stack of homework, trying to make herself look as calm as possible. "This is my attitude towards learning." Pretty good. When Lin Zexia heard this sentence, she felt that it was not that simple. Sure enough, Chi Yao's next sentence was, "After all, you should show some attitude to the number 2 middle school after passing the line. Do you think you are 90 points above the cutoff? Are you good?" Lin Zexia gritted her teeth and thought. Of course, she couldn't say these words. Because it's 90 points higher, it's really awesome. "You're awesome, you're so good." Lin Zexia followed him into the room, murmuring in a low voice, "Why did you apply for number 2 middle school?" People arrive quickly. A total of 5 people came to this party, and the big sofa in the center was filled at once. De Zhuang was the first to come in. He was actually not strong, on the contrary, he was quite thin. Single eyelid, looks like a healthy boy. Everyone usually referred to them as brothers. After De Zhuang entered the door and shouted "Brother Yao," he turned around and said, "Brother Xia. Doing homework, Brother Xia, this is not your style. I think this pile of snacks is more like your style." "What is like?" "This pile of snacks is what she left behind and forgot to take away." Lin Zexia didn't squeeze with them, but huddled alone in the big lazy sofa beside her, with her homework spread on her lap, her eyelids rolled up. "You talk so much, do you want to share my worries?" Just this one sentence, everyone was collectively silent, not daring to tease her homework anymore. Several people got together and began to choose a movie. After choosing and choosing, I finally chose a gunfight movie. "This one is good, hot-blooded, that's it. My brother Xia should have no objection, she must also be a hot-blooded person." After speaking, someone got up and turned off the lights. The prelude to the movie sounded. Lin Zexia hurriedly finished the problem at hand, and when she looked up, she saw Chi Yao walking over with a few cans of iced soda. When he was walking towards the living room, the blue fluorescent light from the projection hit him right on. This person's eyebrows and eyes were originally too aggressive, but at this moment, the cold light was inadvertently shining on him, making the whole person seem to have a sense of incomparable arrogance. After Chi Yao threw the soda to them, he walked to Lin Zhexia's side. Then the sofa next to her sank. Lin Zhexia didn't want to squeeze with him, although this seat is actually very spacious, you can't sit anywhere else. Chi Yao asked coolly, "This is your house?" At the end, he held the soda in his hand and asked, "Do you want to drink?" "For drink." Lin Zhexia was about to say thank you subconsciously, but before she could say thank you, the hand holding the soda suddenly turned a corner, and then retracted it, and then the hand that was clear but always tired the voice sounded again, "Where should I sit?" Lin Zhexia gritted her teeth, thinking that this person is still as stingy as ever. She surrendered directly, and cooperated, "Sit wherever you want, you sit here now, it is very suitable." After getting the answer, Chi Yao let go and gave her the soda. Lin Zhexia didn't plan to drink for the time being. The question in her hand is still short of the last step, and the conditions of the question have been written down, so she groped in the dark, bowed her head and continued to calculate in the notebook. After the opening of the movie, the first plot is that the protagonist is trapped in a cave, and the light is much dimmed. The sound effect is startling. It sounds very exciting. Not wanting to delay the opening plot, she hastily calculated and ticked the C option. She doesn't ask what movies to watch, she has a very philanthropic taste, and she also enjoys watching shootout movies with relish. She also acts as a puppet barrage next to Chi Yao, Guessing the plot randomly, this person sets the flag, he will die in 10 minutes. Sure enough, I'm dead. Lin, the prophet. I see that the seal of this benefactor has turned black, and he is probably not far from death. After another 10 minutes, Lin Jixia went on to say, I've been waiting for a long time, why is he still alive? Qi Yao didn't talk much when watching the movie, giving off a cold and focused feeling. He wasn't a talkative person in the first place, even if he usually teased her, he always teased her very condescendingly. At this moment, his whole body is half hidden in the darkness, and he can vaguely see the outline of his figure. It was still the black t-shirt from last night, but his legs were too long, and he was slightly bent as if there was no place to put them. He was wearing a pair of black ripped pants, with his arms resting on top of his legs after he bent his legs. But Lin Jixia didn't need him to respond, after all, it didn't matter whether someone responded to the barrage. She can export unilaterally. So she acquiesced that Qi Yao was concentrating on watching the movie and didn't want to distract her with it. Halfway through, she felt thirsty. It happened that the can of soda was left for a long time, and it was not so cold. The moment she picked up the soda, somehow, she suddenly thought of the scene where Qi Yao opened the can last night. Open the can with one hand. Like. It's very handsome. Maybe she can? Lin Jixia imitated Qi Yao's action last night, trying to open the can with one hand, but she was weak and didn't know the specific action, so she didn't know the point at all. She seems to not. Reluctantly, she felt that this behavior was somewhat embarrassing. Fortunately, everyone was watching a movie, and no one paid attention to her movements. However, just when she was about to give up and act quietly as if nothing had happened, a hand suddenly stretched out from the side. That hand was pressed against the hand she was about to release, 3 fingers clasped the can, and then the index finger pressed hers, guiding her index finger into the correct position. The finger, whose knuckle was obviously protruding much more than hers, pressed down hard, lent her some strength. Snapped. The pull ring was caught on the knuckle of her index finger. She managed to pull the tab of the can open. There is a subtle sizzle sound of bubbles coming out of the soda water. A very faint lemon smell followed. Your IQ, said Qi Yao when retracting his hand, 3 homework may not be enough. Lin Jixia was a little confused for a while. The soda can ring was still alone on her finger. The main reason is that Qi Yao's move made people defenseless, like a sudden attack. Obviously just now he looked like he didn't want to talk to her. So by the time she realized it, she had already missed the best time to fight back. She could only reply, as long as you are smart, I have never practiced it, so it's normal to not know how to drive. Lin Jixia continued to speak slowly, and who knows, did you secretly practice for a long time just to look handsome? During the conversation, Qi Yao had already withdrawn his hand, still resting on his knee, continued to watch the movie, and withdrew the eyes that had glanced at her like a charity just now. Just drop the next sentence, I look idle. The second half of the movie is a very conventional plot. The protagonist and his party find the villain behind the scenes, and then duel with the villain at a critical moment. Lin Jixia took a sip of the lemonade in her hand, and continued to watch. After watching the movie, He Yang and the others suggested that they want to play board games. For this group of students on summer vacation, the most important thing is time. He Yang brought his own board game cards, and took out a stack of black cards from his pocket. I'll distribute them to everyone, gather those who want to play, and I'll explain the rules of the game. Brother Yao, He Yang handed over the remaining deck of cards when the cards were dealt to them. Draw one. Qi Yao glanced at the cards in his hand, but didn't pick it up. I'm a little sleepy, I'll sleep for a while. He Yang turned to Lin Jixia. Okay, brother Xia, smoke it. Lin Jixia copied and pasted Qi Yao's template. You play, I will do my homework. He Yang took the cards back and got used to it. You two do something special every time. Although the people in their South Alley squad grew up together, their relationship is always close. Everyone in the group acquiesces to a fact: Lin Jixia and Qi Yao, these two people who are at odds with each other, actually the above are the closest couple of them all. Qi Yao said he was a little sleepy, but he really slept for a while. Lin Jixia guessed that he rushed back last night because he must have been tossing all the way. It's just that he didn't go back to his room to sleep, probably because he didn't intend to sleep for too long, so he fell asleep next to Lin Jixia. The lazy sofa is originally placed on the carpet, and you can sleep on the carpet directly with your head on it, but someone's legs are too long, even sleeping on the carpet is a bit cramped. Lin Jixia looked down at her legs, compared their lengths, and silently turned over the unfinished homework just now. In the middle of her homework, Qi Yao woke up. Lin Jixia was wandering in the ocean of learning, without knowing it. Until she heard a sentence: "This question is wrong." After half a minute, another sentence: "That's not the right question either." "You can get into number 2 middle school," Qi Yao finally commented. "It's not easy." Lin Jixia paused on the paper, and replied, "Thank you for your affirmation, luck is indeed a part of strength." In the end, the matter developed into that He Yang and the others were playing board games on the sidelines, and a group of people were chattering so loudly that Qi Yao gave her a lecture amidst the noise. He just woke up. With one hand propped on the carpet, she sat up and approached her, while the other hand held a pen between her fingers, and wrote the steps to solve the problem in the blank space of her book. "This question is a bit difficult," Lin Jixia made up for himself. "Comprehensive questions, you will lose more points." Qi Yao's characters are very similar to his characters. The style of writing is free and easy, and the handwriting is beautiful, but the writing is too fast and a little confusing. Difficult. He scratched his pen and wrote the last word: "I don't even bother to solve this question." Calm. Calm down. Put aside the phenomenon, look at the essence. No matter what, this person is also giving her a lecture now. And it's not the first time. I have known him for so many years, and his lecture topics have always been in this style. Those who make big things don't stick to small details. So, be calm and calm. Lin Jixia counseled herself in her heart, and quickly adjusted her emotions. "It's really hard for you, you are willing to move your noble fingers and leave your priceless handwriting on my homework. I am very, very moved." Qi Yao put down his pen, and didn't like her at all. Lin Jixia followed the steps he gave to answer the question just now. In fact, Qi Yao often gave her lectures. Often to the extent that Lin Jixia took it for granted. While erasing the original answer, she chatted with Qi Yao about his visit to relatives in the next city some time ago. "By the way, where did you visit relatives a few days ago?" "The city next door." Qi Yao said. "A child from a relative's family is hosting a birthday party." Lin Jixia said while revising, "Is there a lottery or something?" "I did it when I was young." She hasn't spoken yet. Qi Yao followed her words. "You grabbed the tablecloth. Did I say that before?" Lin Jixia didn't have much memory. After all, she and Qi Yao talked so much every day. It was hard to remember what was said and what was not said. "You have a really good memory." Qi Yao spoke with a bit of sarcasm. "Oh, this has nothing to do with memory. As long as a person repeats the stupid things she has done to you more than 3 times, you will remember them too." Lin Jixia changed the subject in a timely manner. "What did you catch when you were young?" "You probably didn't catch anything." Qi Yao did not catch him. "No way," he said. "Nothing." "1-year feast," Qi Yao said indifferently. "The family business was too busy that year." Lin Jixia remembered Qi Yao's mother's cold face with a strong aura. "I heard Lin He say that Qi Yao's mother returned to work just after giving birth. A strong woman like her, it is not surprising that there is no birthday party." After a while, Lin Jixia said, "So you really didn't catch anything?" She continued word by word, "No wonder now, then, it's not a thing." After Chi Yao came back, Lin Jixia's homework was settled. It started the day after Chi Yao came back. Lin Jixia always ran to Chi Yao's house with her homework. "Mom," Lin Jixia said angrily when he ran out that day, "I'm going to Chi Yao's house, I might not come back for lunch, so don't wait for me." Sometimes Lin he would also have some opinions. "You are a big girl now, don't always run to other people's houses like you did when you were a child." Lin Jixia, "It's okay. In Chi Yao's eyes, I'm not considered a woman. It's pretty good to be considered a primate hominid. It's just that besides Lin He, there is another person who has some opinions on her." Lin Jixia knocked on the door of Chi Yao's house with her homework, and Chi Yao wanted to close the door when she saw her. Lin Jixia hugged her homework, freed one hand, and pressed her hand on the door panel, trying to squeeze in through the crack of the door. "I'll do my homework." Chi Yao spoke to her in the tone of, "You are sick. You have the disease that you can't do your homework half a step away from my house." Lin Jixia said, "The question is a bit difficult. Chi Yao, it's probably useless to change places, maybe you need to change your mind." Lin Jixia continued to squeeze, "Just do a good deed that day." The door that had been repeatedly pushed and pulled suddenly stopped moving after she finished speaking. Chi Yao put his hand on the doorknob, and didn't continue to push hard. So the half-open door seemed to be stuck. Through that slit, one could just see half of Chi Yao's face. Lin Jixia saw his broken hair hanging in front of his eyes, his thin jaw, and his sudden smile. He felt too far away, even when he laughed, the cold arrogance still lingered. "Feel sorry. I've never been kind," Chi Yao said with a half-smile, "because I'm not a thing." Lin Jixia suspected that he was simply taking the opportunity to retaliate. "She won't be that day." Casually. "Did you say something? As for what?" After a few seconds, she watched the door of Chi Yao's house close in front of her eyes. Lin Jixia squatted in front of Chi Yao's house with her homework and refused to leave. While squatting, he took out his mobile phone to send a message to Chi Yao. "Let me in or it's very windy outside, I feel so cold." After half a minute, Chi Yao replied and reminded her, "You are in the corridor. I mean my heart is leaking." Inside the door, Chi Yao leaned his back against the door, only a door away from her, and when he saw this sentence, he cursed "fool" in a low voice. Then he paused with his fingers on the screen and typed a few words, "Open the door and come in by yourself." He hasn't pressed send yet. There was a new movement outside the door. It was the sound of the neighbor opening the door. A couple of elderly people lived opposite the door. The elderly people should just go out to throw garbage. Everyone has lived here for many years and they are very familiar with each other. When they saw that it was Lin Jixia, the old man said hello to her, "Xiao Lin, come to see Chi again." "Yao? Why are you squatting at the door?" "Grandpa Wang." Lin Jixia's voice became a lot louder, and she deliberately said to the person in the door, "I'm here to ask questions. This summer vacation, I dare not relax for a moment. I insist on writing exercises every day. I only want to study." The reason why he squats at the door is Chi Yao is too stingy, he is worried that I will become smarter than him and surpass him in grades, so he refuses to teach me and rejects me outside the door. But the word outside the door could not be uttered. There was a click. The door opened. Lin Jixia felt a force behind her, and that force tugged at the back collar of her clothes, and directly pulled her back in. Chi Yao tugged at her and said, "Take your homework and get out." The singing of cicadas in August this year continued enthusiastically from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. Lin Jixia's memories of this summer are the air conditioner in Chi Yao's house, the bubbling lemonade on the table, and the stack of homework written on it that gradually became thinner. Chi Yao would play games next to her while she was doing homework. This person was as careless as ever when he was playing games, pointing his fingers casually on the interface. Lin Jixia sometimes glanced at him, and often caught a glimpse of a striking 5 kills reminder. Qi Yao's desk is very spacious. More often, he would sleep on the other side of the desk. One hand hangs on the edge of the table and the other rests on the back of the neck, like a student sitting in the back row of the classroom who is not listening to the lecture. Most of the holidays have passed like this, and it's time for the school to start soon. On the dinner table today, Lin He mentioned the start of school. School is about to start, take it easy and adjust your state. High school is a very important stage, you know. Lin Jixia listened, nodding while poking the rice in the bowl. By the way, your Uncle Wei bought you some new notebooks. Lin Jixia hurriedly said, thank you Uncle Wei. Lin He added, there is also a new school bag, you can see if you like it after dinner. New school year, new atmosphere. After the meal, Lin Jixia sat on the sofa and opened the presents. Wei Ping also sat down. When Lin He was not around, she and Wei Ping got along with each other, which was somewhat awkward. Lin Jixia broke the silence, thank you uncle, the school bag is very nice, I like it very much, would you like some water? I'll get you some water. Wei Ping wore glasses, looking honest and elegant, no, thank you. That, as long as you like it. Wei Ping said again, do you want some fruit? I'll cut an orange for you. Lin Jixia had just finished eating, and refused, I don't need it either, thank you uncle, don't bother. After some pleasantries, the topic quickly came to an end. Lin Jixia lowered her head and played with her mobile phone. She habitually clicked on the chat box with Qi Yao. I was bored and sent a few words in the past, what are you doing? School starts soon, we have one school this time. Can. Let's go to school together. Will we be in the same class? Qi Yao didn't return. She waited for a while, then backed out. Next to him, Wei Ping coughed lightly, and finally found a topic, school will start soon, and you are going to a new school, are you nervous? Lin Jixia thought for a while and answered him, fortunately, I'm not very nervous. She's really not that nervous. If you have to say nervous, it's not about going to a new school, but because her grades are a bit embarrassing. Although he was admitted to number 2 middle school, no matter how you say it, he was able to get in because of his extraordinary performance. Lin Jixia has always been a very self-aware person. Although emotionally she didn't want to write the extra tasks assigned by Lin He, but intellectually, she knew very well that she really needed these assignments. She knew that her grades were not good, so she should work harder. So she completes these 20 pages of homework every day with quality and quantity. And because of Qi Yao's presence during this time, although the style of this person's lectures is not very friendly, often accompanied by cynicism and life attacks, it is true that because of him, she has mastered a lot of knowledge in the first year of high school and advance. These days under Qi Yao's tuition, she gradually discovered that the little bit of tension brought about by the start of school had disappeared. After she finished speaking, the phone screen lit up. You have received 2 new messages Chigu, in terms of scores Chigu, unlikely after a while, the screen turned on again. And also, it's an honor for you to be in the same school as me, don't ask too much. Facing these messages, Lin Jixia couldn't help but reflect on whether she was too full for dinner at night. Otherwise, if you are full and have nothing to do, send a message to this person. On the first day of school, Lin Jixia finished her breakfast early, took the unfinished milk, carried her bag and ran downstairs to Qi Yao's house. Mom, Uncle Wei, I'm going to school. There is a bus stop within a short walk from the community, and you can go to number 2 middle school by bus in 8 stops. In addition, she and Qi Yao go to school together, Lin He and the others have nothing to worry about. Well, go to school and listen to the class carefully. She received her textbooks and new school uniform 2 days in advance. The style of the number 2 middle school uniform is simple, the overall color is white, only the neckline and sleeves are mixed with red and black. This color is much more mature and cool than the pink and white school uniform at her previous school. Lin Jixia put on the new school uniform and felt that she had matured accordingly. Girls of this age yearn for the word grow up. When she ran to the door of Qi Yao's house, Qi Yao just pushed open the unit door and came out. She leaped over the steps and jumped in front of him, smiling and saying, "Look at me." Qi Yao closed the unit door with his backhand. He was not frightened by Lin Jixia who suddenly approached him. The main reason why she wasn't frightened was that even if Lin Jixia rushed forward suddenly, due to the difference in height, she couldn't really get close to him, and could only barely reach his chin. The girl in front of her simply wore a ponytail and her hair was soft. Further down is a non-aggressive, not yet fully grown face. Lin Jixia didn't have a very flamboyant appearance, she was a typical southern girl, fair and pure, with a pointed chin, and slightly deserted inner eyes, but she smiled like a little fox. "What are you looking at?" Qi Yao lowered his head and said, looking at the dwarf. Lin Jixia's good mood was shattered by the word short. She gritted her teeth and said, "Look at my new school uniform. On the first day of school, I still want to be a good student. Don't force me to do it." "Then you have to step back," Qi Yao said with a long tail, "I can't see you like this." Lin Jixia held his breath and said, "Then you are so pitiful, you have gone blind at a young age." Although she was a little angry, it was Lin Jixia who hadn't gone to school with this person for a long time. Although the two of them always spent their holidays together in junior high school, when it was school time, she could only go to the girls' school alone. At this point, she was immediately relieved. Far away, He Yang and the others were also preparing to go to the station, saw them from a distance, and waved to the two of them, "Brother Yao, Brother Xia, you two wait for me." Lin Jixia walked beside Qi Yao, and said, "Hello, are you going to the station too? Which bus do you take?" He Yang said speechlessly, "Can you two care about me more? I'll drop by with you and take bus no 3. Qi Yao also expressed a bit of surprise at this. The specific way of expressing it was that he raised his eyes condescendingly and glanced at He Yang. Based on years of experience in getting along with each other, He Yang keenly caught Qi Yao's glance. "No, none of you know that I was admitted to the number 2 middle school, the experimental high school next to it, 3 stops away." Qi Yao withdrew that look. "Now I know." He Yang. Lin Jixia then said, "Now I know too. It turns out that you were admitted to the experimental high school." After Qi Yao dropped that sentence, she stopped talking. Considering He Yang's mood, Lin Jixia patted He Yang's shoulder and said a few more words. "Although there is still a long way to go from number 2 middle school, I believe that as long as you study hard, you will still have a chance to catch up with us. Come on, be strong." He Yang's mood was even more complicated. "Brother Xia, you can't talk, so you can talk less." It didn't take long for He Yang to be complicated, and he chattered endlessly. "Speaking of which, you guys actually have the same school this time, I'm really envious." Lin Jixia, "Don't be envious, you can barely count as our spiritual alumni." He Yang didn't understand her trick. Qi Yao, on the other hand, laughed after hearing this. Lin Jixia explained, "Because you are right next to number 2 middle school, the experimental high school 3 stops away, and you are considered half a spiritual alumni." He Yang, "Thank you." Several people walked out of the gate of the community while chatting as before, and the Nangxiang Street road sign with white characters on a blue background has been erected at the intersection of the street for several years. But when Lin Jixia passed the intersection this time, he couldn't tell, as if something had changed quietly. Maybe it's because of his new school uniform. Maybe it's the word high school student. Maybe it's because he's 16. It feels like a person who has been living with his head down all of a sudden suddenly raised his head. Then I realized that without knowing it, I had already stood at the intersection of the next stage of my life. Going down from the bus station, there are people coming and going at the school gate. The shift schedule is posted on the bulletin board at the door. Everyone is around the bulletin board, looking for their names. The full name of the number 2 middle school is Cheng'an number 2 Middle School, which is located in the center of Cheng'an District, Lianyun City. That is where Lin Jiexia lives now. Number 2 Middle School has a pretty good reputation, and the management is relatively not that strict, and students are not forced to live on campus. And Lianyun number 1 Middle School, which she missed with, was very strict with militarized management, and even mobile phones were not allowed. While pulling Chi Yao to squeeze in, Lin Jiexia suddenly thought, Chi Yao didn't go to number 1 middle school, maybe not only because he wanted to be close to home, but also because he had a free heart. Lin Jiexia said eagerly, quickly see which class you are in. The people she dragged obviously didn't have her enthusiasm. Chi Yao was a little impatient, aren't you too crowded? Lin Jiexia, then you go out, I will see for myself. What she didn't notice was that even though the man said so, he still followed her and let her drag him, with one hand vainly holding her arm to prevent her from being squeezed away by the people around him. Lin Jiexia found Chi Yao's name in class 1, at a glance. Excitedly, she tugged at the corner of his clothes and told him, Chi Yao, you are in class 1. At the same time. Almost at the same time. Chi Yao also said, Class 7. Lin Jiexia didn't realize it, what class 7? Chi Yao, you. The two sometimes do this kind of thing very tacitly. For example, just like now, it's like finding fault, looking for the other party's name immediately. Lin Jiexia looked back, and sure enough, she saw her name in the last row, class 7, so far away. She was afraid that what she said was ambiguous and sounded like reluctance, so she explained, I feel at ease after being so far away from you. A small sneer was her answer. As Chi Yao guessed right, number 2 middle school is indeed a class based on grades. Because of the admission scores, not only are the two not in the same class, but they are also separated by the farthest distance. According to the teaching method of number 2 middle school, this 1 class should be a small class, and the other classes are ordinary classes. Lin Jiexia couldn't tell whether she wanted to be in the same class with him or not. Her relationship with Chi Yao. It belongs to getting together and looking at each other. But really separated, also a bit unaccustomed. After entering the school, there are several celebrity sculptures arranged on the small square. Walk through this square, walk up the steps, and you will find the teaching building inside. She was not in the same class as Chi Yao, and it was not easy after she entered the Senior 1 teaching building. When the stairs parted, Lin Jiexia had already run up, and turned back halfway. She called Chi Yao to stop, and said seriously, I have something to tell you. Chi Yao felt that it was not a good thing to say. Sure enough, Lin Jiexia said with a serious face, I just started school, and I don't know the place well. If you want anything, you can come to class 7 to find your eldest brother, and your eldest brother will protect you. Are you done? Chi Yao asked after a while. Lin Jiexia thought for a while, brother, there is only so much to say, and there is nothing left for the time being. Chi Yao leaned against the wall at the corner of the stairs, raised his chin slightly, and suddenly said, actually, I have quite a few enemies at school. Not many, about a dozen. Chi Yao thought for a while, if you want, I'll form a group later and ask them to wait for you in the grove after school. Let's fight today and protect me. Having said that, he paused slightly, and asked with a drawn-out ending, what do you think, brother? Without saying a word, Lin Jiexia immediately rolled away. Although Lin Jiexia dared to talk nonsense in front of a person who looked more like her elder brother than she did, she was actually not very outgoing. After entering class 1, 7th, of senior high, she sat down silently on the seat with her name on it, took the initiative to say hello to the deskmate named Chen Lin next to her, and then took a book from her school bag and spread it out on the table. Relieves the embarrassment caused by strangers. On the contrary, the new deskmate next to her shared the gossip with her in less than 3 minutes. I heard that we don't have class today, and we will start the test directly, and not all of the exams are learned before. Somewhat I didn't learn in the first year of high school. Lin Jixia was surprised by her intelligence ability. How do you know? Chen Lin had some small freckles on her face, and she looked cheerful and enthusiastic. She shook the mobile phone hidden under the textbook. School forum, Chen Lin explained, there are posts from seniors and sisters who are sophomores and seniors. You can find all kinds of information on it. Lin Jixia is not as keen on surfing the internet as Chen Lin is. She has never even chased after stars. She usually uses her mobile phone to search things and watch videos, and chat with Qi Yao. Seeing that she didn't respond, Chen Lin said, "You are so calm." Lin Jixia said, as a person, I am relatively calm when encountering anything. Chen Lin thought that Lin Jixia was very quiet, but she was a little surprised to hear her unconventional answer. After a while, the teacher entered the class, and sure enough, after a simple self-introduction, the homeroom teacher surnamed Su, wearing a wool roll and wearing glasses, began to distribute the test papers, one for each person. Fill in your seat number with the student number, and the test time is 120 minutes, after the test, hand it in and I will correct it on the spot. As soon as the words fell, someone in the classroom couldn't help but howl. Teacher Su warned, don't whisper during the exam. I understand your urgency to meet new classmates. In the afternoon, I will set aside a special class meeting for you to introduce yourself. The test papers are passed from the front row to the back. Lin Jixia held the black fountain pen, took the test paper, and scanned the questions from beginning to end. Her habit is exactly the same as Qi Yao's. This was brought out by Qi Yao since she was a child. Although her grades are not as good as his, her habit of writing questions is very similar. After scanning the questions, she found that there were many questions on the paper. She had done them all during the holidays. There is even that Qi Yao's too lazy to solve question in it, which is almost unchanged, and only a few values have been changed. Then what? Lin Jixia murmured silently while writing her name in the upper left corner, then I will barely forgive you for calling me a dwarf in the morning. After the exam, the test papers were handed in for on-the-spot review. Most people just reached the passing line, and the scores are terrible. With a full score of 120, Chen Lin scored 81 points in the test. After getting the test paper, she was a little depressed. I don't think I need to take it back to show to my parents. As soon as she finished speaking, Teacher Su pronounced Lin Jixia's name. Lin Jixia, Teacher Su pushed his glasses, and took a few more glances at the students who read their names after they stood up. 110, the only 3-digit number in our class, is very good, keep working hard. After listening to the double-digit scores, the students in the audience heard 110, and couldn't help but shouted, damn, 110. This devil's paper, there is actually someone who can test 3 digits. I thought that 99 just now would be number 1 in the class. Lin Jixia did not expect that on the first day of school, she would be saluted in the class because of her test scores. Paying attention is not the most embarrassing thing. The most embarrassing thing was that Teacher Su was also quite satisfied with her scores and asked her to give a speech. Teacher Su, is there anything you want to say to the new students? Lin Jixia stood on the edge of the podium, holding the test paper. His mind went blank for a moment, and he didn't know what to say. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, she didn't know what to think, and finally said, I have nothing to say. If I have to say, I can only say, everyone can learn from me. The audience was silent for a moment. Then someone took the lead and applauded, awesome. When she stepped off the stage, Chen Lin couldn't help but say, you are amazing. Lin Jixia already wanted to go back and strangle himself a few minutes ago. Something may have caught my brain just now. Chen Lin, no, the way you spoke just now was very cool, and you are really calm. Lin Jixia couldn't recall, just pretend you haven't seen me. She now. I really want to. Click to open the chat box with Qi Yao. Then type a string of "ah" in the chat box. But no, you can't play with your mobile phone in class. She and Chen Lin unexpectedly became acquainted because of this embarrassing incident. After class, Chen Lin didn't understand the wrong questions in class. Lin Jiexia told her about it. Chen Lin took back the test paper and said, "Thank you, did you take tutoring during your vacation? The kind that asks for a tutor." Thinking of Qi Yao's picture, Lin Jiexia didn't look ashamed at all. "It's sort of." "Chen Lin, then your tutor is quite serious in teaching, and you have taught all these questions before. He's not that good either." Anyway, Qi Yao wasn't here. Lin Jiexia opened his mouth and said, "He's ugly and has a bad temper." "Chen Lin, hey. I also like to pretend." Lin Jiexia finally said. "Anyway, I am not very good, mainly because I am talented." No one knew that she quietly took out her mobile phone during the break. Click to open a chat box with someone. Conscientiously send a villain kneeling emoticon package, and type a few lines. "Neil super invincible handsome guy Qi Yao, you are awesome, nice to have you, just, yes, me, dad." And the super invincible handsome guy on the opposite side returned 5 words very coldly. "Go crazy and pull black again." High school life is a bit different from what Lin Jiexia imagined. It seems that there are not too significant changes, and there are still classes and exams. But what actually made her feel more changed was the classmates around her. Everyone seemed to start paying attention to some gossip, such as who is in a relationship with whom, and who are from the same school. The relationship is not simple. The girl in the front row of her would secretly go to the bathroom to touch up her lipstick after class. Although the lipstick color is very light, there is not much difference between applying it and not applying it. There is also Chen Lin beside her. Keep up with the school's hot spots, chat with her between classes. There is a handsome guy in our grade who kills everyone in the forum on the first day, and share with her all the way to we should arrange a 5-day military training next week. Lin Jiexia buried herself in her homework. Chen Lin changed the subject too quickly, she could only remember the last sentence, and said casually, "Military training next week." Chen Lin, "Yeah, I thought I could hide from it. In such a hot day, I have to go out and expose myself to the sun for 5 days." The topic passed quickly. After Lin Jiexia finished her homework, she secretly turned on her mobile phone in the belly of the table, and sent a message to Qi Yao, "Are you there?" After class, the other side came back quickly. "Chigu?" Lin Jiexia immediately complained, "Why are you like this? You actually play with your mobile phone at school, give me a warning." "Chigu, sick." Lin Jiexia got to the point, "Show me your class schedule." She then sent another sentence, "I want to see if there are any overlapping classes between your class and our class, such as physical education classes, which are usually taught together by several classes." Qi Yao didn't continue to tease her this time, instead he took a photo and sent it over. Chigu/photo. Lin Jiexia's words became a prophecy. The physical education classes of Class 1 and Class 7 are really together. It just happened to happen today, and it was all in the last quarter. Before physical education class, Chen Lin took her to the school canteen to buy food, so hungry. Lin Jiexia packed up her things, "Let's go, I just happened to go over to have a look." Chen Lin was in high spirits, "I heard that the sushi rolls in the canteen are very delicious." The canteen is next to the cafeteria. Chen Lin picked up the sushi rolls and was about to pay the bill when she touched her pocket, "I forgot to bring the money." Lin Jiexia took out her pocket, and only found 2 steel coins. "I didn't bring it either." "Forget it." Chen Lin put the things back, and said melancholy, "Just let me starve for a class." Lin Jiexia thought for a while, and suddenly said, "Believe it or not, I can give you 2 yuan to eat this sushi roll." Chen Lin looked at her, "Is the owner of the canteen a relative of yours?" Lin Jiexia, "No." Chen Lin's expression became complicated, "Are you going to pay on credit?" Lin Jiexia, "No." Chen Lin's expression became more complicated, it's not good to eat the overlord's meal. Lin Jixia used the 2 steel coins she took out from her pocket to take a bottle of mineral water from the freezer, which was the cheapest kind, and she handed the 2 steel coins to the store owner. Wait, I'll go out to rob. Lin Jixia, I can support you when I come back from the robbery. Lin Jixia took the bottle of mineral water and ran to the playground, looking for the figure of class 1 along the way. But there is no formal class yet, people are scattered, there is no fixed location, and it is not easy to find. That is to say, she knew Qi Yao too well, even if she only looked at his back, or even the back of his head, she could tell if it was him at a glance. She didn't run a few steps before she saw Qi Yao on the basketball court. Qi Yao. In fact, Qi Yao was surrounded by many people, the boys were crowded together, and there was a group of girls in the distance who seemed to be looking this way too. But Lin Jixia didn't pay attention at all. She stood in front of Qi Yao and looked at him with a smile as usual. Qi Yao, are you thirsty? Are you tired? Playing basketball must be very hard, I just watched it from a distance. Seeing your heroic playing style, it's like Kaed Rukawa reborn. Because he was going to play ball, Qi Yao changed into his own clothes, and the grey t-shirt was hanging loosely on him. Before class, he squatted with his legs bent on the flower bed on the edge of the court. After hearing Lin Jixia's words, he said oh and raised his chin slightly. Continue. Your golf skills are superb, Lin Jixia continued, it's astonishing, astonishing. Qi Yao, idioms are used well. Lin Jixia, unfortunately, I, Lin, have a little cultural background. Lin Jixia felt that the atmosphere was almost perfect when the flattery was photographed here, and she handed over the water in her hand. Do you want to drink some water? I bought it for you specially. Qi Yao didn't take her water. He moved the hand on his knee, stretched out a finger and pointed in a certain direction on the court. See that ball? Lin Jixia looked in the direction he pointed. I see. Qi Yao, I've only been here for 2 minutes, and I haven't touched it yet. Qi Yao withdrew that finger and looked at her. I don't know which Rukawa Kaed you saw, I'm quite curious, why don't you recommend it to me? Lin Jixia. She sees shit. She didn't see anything at all. And this person is on the court, just sitting, not playing. Does it fit? Lin Jixia decided not to dwell on this issue. Anyway, I bought water for you. Having known each other for many years, Qi Yao didn't believe that she would be so kind. No charge. Lin Jixia, take it. Qi Yao took the water. How much? Lin Jixia, 2 yuan. After Qi Yao unscrewed the cap of the bottle of water, she continued, plus 8 yuan for running errands, so the total is 10 yuan. Lin Jixia stretched out her hand, ready to accept the money. If you show kindness and want to tip more, I don't mind. A few minutes later, the canteen opened. Holding the sushi roll, Chen Lin was shocked. Lin Jixia, don't worry about eating, this is legal robbery. But the reason why Chen Lin was shocked was not the act of robbing itself, but the object of her robbing at the same table. After a while, she finally recovered her voice, the one just now, Qi Yao? Do you know each other? Lin Jixia briefly introduced, I was a good brother who was born and died, but how do you know his name? Chen Lin said word by word, because he is very, well known, ah. Lin Jixia. When Chen Lin said this, she was interrupted by the whistle of the physical education teacher, and everyone gathered in the direction of the playground. She hurriedly dragged Lin Jixia to line up. Assemble, I will send you the link after school, you will know after reading it. Since the last period is the physical education class, many people go to the playground directly with their school bags on their backs. As soon as the get out of class bell rang, these people put on their school bags and ran outside the school. Lin Jixia had to go back to the classroom to pack her things, and then went to class 1 to meet Qi Yao. There were not as many empty seats on the bus going back from school. The bus was full of number 2 middle school students. Lin Jiexia and Qi Yao took the bus home together. She followed Qi Yao and put coins on the bus. She looked around and found an empty seat. There is only one left. The empty seat is next to the rear door. Lin Jiexia was a little embarrassed. She reached out and tugged Qi Yao's hanging school bag. Don't you have anything to say to me? For example, give me this seat or something, Lin Jiexia continued, otherwise I'm embarrassed to sit. Qi Yao has already changed back to his school uniform. He seems to wash his hair after playing, and the broken hair is slightly damp. When he spoke, he glanced at Lin Jiexia. What to do? I have a thick skin. You are embarrassed, I am embarrassed. Lin Jiexia. To be a man, one must respect the old and love the young. Qi Yao, old and young, which one are you? Lin Jiexia was very knowledgeable about current affairs. She said honestly, I'm the one. After finishing speaking, she added, Father. Qi Yao was speechless. He took off the school bag on his shoulder and threw it into Lin Jixia's arms. Sit down and help me carry the bag. Soon, the driver pressed the door close button, and the car started slowly. There was a lot of noise in the car. Lin Jiexia was sitting on the seat, and Qi Yao was standing next to her, with one hand raised, holding the pull ring directly above. She could see him as long as she raised her head. Because Qi Yao was standing beside her, even though there were more and more people getting into the car behind, no one pushed her way. Like a natural barrier. On the way to the car, she took out her mobile phone to see if Lin He had sent her a message. As a result, Lin He didn't see the news, but saw the information of a new friend who had just been added not long ago. Lin Chen, Ling Chen Lin, this is it. Chen Lin, he is the one who made a big splash on the forum on the first day of school. Within a day, the front page of the forum was full of him, and the building with the most discussion has now turned over more than 10 pages. Chen Lin, I told you today, and I knew you were too busy doing your homework to listen? Lin Jiexia clicked on the website link on the bumpy car, and a moment later, a slightly blurred snapshot suddenly came into view. The photo should have been taken in the afternoon. In the photo, the sun is shining brightly through the windows. This sloppy snapshot actually captures a lot of people, but among this group of people, there is an existence that cannot be ignored. The boy sitting in the back row was wearing the school uniform of number 2 middle school. The collar of the school uniform was slightly open, and the bony collarbone could be vaguely seen. He was sitting among a group of people, surrounded by other boys. Strong sense of distance. The same school uniform always feels different when he wears it. Those light-colored pupils are lit by the sun, and they are so sharp. But these are not the most important. The most important thing is the person in the photo is the same person as the person standing next to her at the moment. The one she would recognize even if turned to ashes. Qi Yao. Lin Jixia's expression changed from confused to hesitant to speak. Then he went from hesitant to say nothing, to speechless. In the end, it turned into an expression of an old man on the subway looking at his mobile phone. Below this photo, it is full of replies. 1L/image. 2L, this person, who, from our school? 3L, who is beating so loudly? Oh, it's me. 4L, in 10 minutes, I want all the information about this person. After a while, someone really started reporting information. 133L, before I clicked in, I was still wondering who caused such a big commotion, but after I clicked in. Qi Yao, it's all right now. After finally catching an insider, the other buildings told 133 not to leave. So 133L stayed and said a few more words, Grade 1 Class 1, Qi Yao. It was my former school classmate, he was very famous in school before. Do you have a girlfriend? Have no idea. But I advise you not to get close, because you will be rejected miserably. The more Lin Jiexia looked down, the more complicated his expression became. She was not in the same school as Qi Yao before, so she didn't know that this person was so ostentatious in school. She felt as if she saw it. 1. Stranger. This person has the same name and surname as Qi Yao, and they share the same face. And this Qi Yao seems to be very famous in school. Lin Jixia stared at the photo for a while, then raised her head to look at Qi Yao standing beside her. Compared with the seemingly unreachable Qi Yao in the photo, the current Qi Yao is obviously closer to life. The afterglow of the setting sun shone on him, and the whole person was enveloped by the noise in the car. He is tall, and he still stands out among so many people in the carriage, and now he is swiping his phone with his eyes downcast. As if aware of her gaze, he shifted his gaze a little and looked down at her. I charge for this face, 50 for one glance. Lin Jixia was dumbfounded. She was about to say you blackmail. Immediately afterwards, I heard Qi Yao say another sentence, after all, some people can charge 8 yuan for running errands, so my price should be fair. The author has something to say. Chigu started killing all directions. No. Lin Jixia was choked up speechless by the brazenness of this person. But she still couldn't refute it. Because she did cheat him before gym class. Lin Jixia, I just forgot to bring money today, at worst I will go back and pay you back. She said, closing the phone page. And no one wants to see you, she said, you're just okay looking. The voice just fell. The car also happened to be driving to the next stop, and it bumped violently when braking. At the same time, Qi Yao, who was standing on the side looking down at her, suddenly bent down, shortened the distance between them, and brought his face closer to her. He pulled the corners of his lips, looked at her from a close distance, and said with a sneer, I'm just okay. Lin Jixia kept his head up, gave him another serious look, and then said frankly, it's useless no matter how close you are, and no matter how you look at it, it still feels very ordinary. Qi Yao twitched the corner of his mouth. So who is that person who sent me a message during class, praising me as a handsome guy? Lin Jixia, you also said that I was going crazy. Qi Yao only bent down to get close to her for a while, then straightened up quickly, as if he was too lazy to argue with her. Take a leave tomorrow, and I'll take you to the hospital. Lin Jixia, what are you doing in the hospital? Qi Yao said coolly, you don't need your eyes, donate them to those who need them. Lin Jixia looked at him, couldn't help shaking his head, and sighed from the bottom of his heart, it's okay to be average, but you are still small. After going back, Lin He had already prepared a meal at home and waited for her. Lin Jixia showed Lin He the paper for today's test, and Lin He was satisfied with the score. I just said, the stupid bird flies first, this sentence makes sense. Lin Jixia buried her head in her meal, and didn't bother to correct herself for being a stupid bird. Lin He put down the test paper, although you did well in the exam at the beginning of the semester, you can't be proud. The next study is very important. By the way, you did well in the exam this time, thanks to Qi Yao. Lin Jixia couldn't help retorting, I think the most important thing is that I'm smarter. Lin He, are you smart? Count it yourself. How many of the above questions have Qi Yao never taught you? Lin Jixia. But what? Lin Jixia said again, there is a saying that goes like this, a clever woman can't cook without rice. Lin He, I'm too lazy to tell you, after you finish your meal, send the fruit basket to Qi Yao. Lin Jixia had no choice but to agree. That night, before she saw Qi Yao, she bumped into He Yang on the way to deliver the fruit basket. He Yang held the game console cassette in his hand. Go to Brother Yao's house? Together. Lin Jixia didn't really want to go, but just caught an errand runner, so he put the fruit basket into He Yang's hand. Go, help me bring this to him. He Yang was carrying the fruit basket. Aren't you going? Okay, then I'm leaving. After He Yang finished speaking, before he could take a few steps, Lin Jixia stopped him again. Wait a minute. Lin Jixia stopped him and said, I have something to ask you. It was already dark, and the mosquitoes kept coming. The two squatted on the edge of the green belt, chatting and swiping mosquitoes. He Yang was puzzled. Brother Xia, hurry up and ask. I already have several bags on my lap. Lin Jixia remembered those few forum replies, and she didn't know why she stopped people by accident. She organized her words and asked, you used to go to the same school as Qi Yao, and he was in the school? That's right, there are many people who are blind. Do you think he is handsome? He Yang's expression was slightly complicated. Although he didn't know why Lin Jixia suddenly caught him and asked this, but he still said truthfully, based on your standard, there may not be many people with normal eyesight in school before. He Yang said again, but why are you asking this? Lin Jixia also wanted to ask what is the allusion to the phrase I will be rejected miserably. But after thinking about it, I found it strange to ask this question, so I gave up. It's nothing, I just suddenly discovered that there are quite a lot of blind people in this world. Drip sound. He Yang opened the door of Qi Yao's house. As soon as he went in, he bumped into Qi Yao who came out of the bathroom. Qi Yao was adjusting the clothes on his body, but the neckline of the clothes was too big, which made him look not serious. After seeing that the person who came was He Yang, he was too lazy to tidy up. What are you carrying in your hand? Said Qi Yao, don't put it here. He Yang, fruit basket, Lin Jixia gave it to me just now, and said he would bring it to you. Lin Jixia would not give him a fruit basket. It was obvious that Lin He asked her to send it, so Qi Yao didn't say any more. On the contrary, He Yang had more questions. Why doesn't she come here by herself? You two are fighting again. Qi Yao raised his eyelids slightly. She said I quarreled with her. He Yang, that's not true, but she did say something very strange. Qi Yao signaled him to continue. He Yang, she asked me if there were many blind people in our school before, and I told her that there were quite a lot. Qi Yao. Sounds like a mental illness though. But it did look like she would ask the exported question. Qi Yao sat on the sofa with his wet hair on his head, his collar was open all the way below his collarbone. He picked up the remote control to turn on the TV screen, glanced sideways at the game cassette in He Yang's hand, and asked, do you want to play or not? He Yang was almost dazzled by the manly sex in front of him. It may be that Lin Jixia's strange question just now aroused some nerves, and he suddenly thought of some scenes when he and this master went to school together. It is true that Qi Yao was very famous in the previous school. But that kind of fame is not fanfare, more like some kind of tacit understanding. A distant, unapproachable and unreachable person that everyone tacitly knows. Qi Yao has good grades, but he is very casual in class. Sometimes I would secretly play games in class, and was called out by the teacher to stand in the corridor as punishment. The boy was leaning in the shadows with his back against the wall. He was tall and had long legs, and was wearing a school uniform. Attracted a lot of sneaky glances. After a while, He Yang came back to his senses and said, "Hit. But can you put on your clothes first?" He Yang said again, "Although I'm also a man and I'm straight, aren't you afraid that I won't be able to control myself?" Qi Yao hooked his collar and pulled it back, scolding him, "Idiot." After a while, the two sat on the sofa, each with a game controller. He Yang manipulated the game character in his hand. "But you finished your homework? Is number 2 middle school so easy? No homework." "Qi Yao, there is no need to do some preview homework. You know it." Thanks to someone, Qi Yao put his fingers on the handle and said casually, "I learned it during the holidays to teach her." Lin Jixia found that she learned the content of the new semester very quickly. For several days of class, she has a good grasp of the content of the class and the difficult problems left by the teacher after class. It's time for gym class again. Lin Jixia thought of the 8 yuan he cheated Qi Yao last time, and thought about buying some food to give back to him. She and Chen Lin went to the canteen. Chen Lin suggested to buy a sandwich, but Lin Jixia refused. He doesn't like bread. "I don't eat much fast food either." Snacks don't work either. It's so troublesome. Lin Jixia looked around and found that Qi Yao's favorite food was not sold at the canteen. She finally went to look at the freezer. Let's bring water, it's more practical. Chen Lin, how can I buy enough water for 8 yuan? Lin Jixia, it's fine to buy more expensive this time. For example, this bottle of imported mineral water that costs 12 yuan is 4 yuan more than 8 yuan, which reflects my wealth. Chen Lin. Chen Lin remembered that after sending the link to Lin Jixia yesterday, her desk mate only returned her a speechless emoji. So she couldn't help asking again, didn't you know before that he is very famous? Lin Jixia finished the bill and said, my junior high school is not the same school as his, so I don't know much about it. Chen Lin was still surprised by the fact that the handsome guy who caused a sensation in the whole school by browsing the forum was actually her desk mate. Let me ask, Chen Lin said, how did you feel facing such a face since you were young? She just wanted to say if it were me, I would wake up laughing from my dreams. However, Lin Jixia thought for a while, and answered her seriously, the hands are itchy. Chen Lin. Lin Jixia, it's the feeling that many times, I really want to beat him up, but I can't beat him. After the assembly of this class, it was time for free activities. Lin Jixia went to the basketball court to look for Qi Yao with the luxurious imported mineral water. Qi Yao had already entered the court, and he took the ball past a few people. The next second, the ball hit the basket, and there were shouts from all around. Although they were not obvious, it was not difficult to tell who the specific target of this group of people was. Under the shouts and too many gazes around, Lin Jixia hesitated. The last time she ran out was before class, and she didn't know anything about Qi Yao's popularity in school. But this time is different. She glanced at the crowd, thinking that with so many people, it would be awkward to squeeze in. She didn't come here to watch Qi Yao play. And she also wanted to deliver water to Qi Yao in full view. No matter how rich this bottle of water is. A little bit. Can't deliver. Why don't you give it to him after school? Lin Jixia stood next to the girls, muttering silently, it seems that there are other people who are planning to bring him water, and the few next to him are very eager to try. Since he is not short of water, or I'll drink it myself. Just when Lin Jixia was about to taste the bottle of rich mineral water alone, the whistle sounded. End of the first half, intermission. Qi Yao stepped back from the field. He seemed to have seen her a long time ago and walked straight in her direction. Qi Yao walked up to her and reached out to her naturally. Seeing her stunned, he reminded, water. After all, he was here to repay favors, so Lin Jixia ignored the people around him, and handed him the water in his hand as if he was waiting for an uncle, please. Before Qi Yao unscrewed the bottle cap, he hesitated for a second. Lin Jixia hurriedly said, I am doing charity today, and I don't charge errand fees, so you can rest assured. And this water, Lin Jixia emphasized its price, 12 yuan. Don't worry, I won't charge you the price difference after all, I'm such a bold and generous person, which is different from someone who opened his mouth and asked for a price and charged 50. After Lin Jixia finished speaking, seeing that the water had been sent out, she planned to withdraw. However, Qi Yao was very proficient in being an uncle. After he finished drinking the water, he screwed back the bottle cap and stuffed it back into her hand. Lin Jixia, can't you take it yourself? Qi Yao said before going on stage, people like me who have a bad temper and like to ask for prices don't like to take water by themselves. Lin Jixia endured the thought of smashing Qi Yao's head with a water bottle, found a seat in the open space outside the court, helped Qi Yao hold the water, and watched him play from a distance. Under the scorching sun, the entire stadium was covered with sunlight, including the people on the stadium. Qi Yao got the ball again at this moment, switched hands left and right to dribble, and was marked by 2 people. After the teenagers on the field finished their fake moves, when they took off, the wind blew in from under the hem of their clothes, and the hem of their clothes was blown up a little, and the whole person seemed to be flying in the air. Boom! The ball plummets down the middle of the rim. Lin Jixia stared at the ball, and the sentence Chen Lin said last time suddenly appeared in her mind. He is very famous. The end of Get Out of Class is approaching, and the second half is over. After Qi Yao left the stage, he probably came to get water from her, or walked in her direction. However, halfway through this time, he was stopped by someone. Lin Jixia noticed that the girls who stopped him were the two standing next to her just now, and one of the girls was also holding water in her hand. She seemed to muster up her courage, her ears turned red, and she whispered to Qi Yao, "What?" She didn't hear the specific words, but she heard Qi Yao's reply clearly. The boy's tone was loose, polite, but with a clear sense of distance. What he said was, "Thanks, but I'm allergic to water from a stranger." Lin Jixia wondered if there was something wrong with her ears. Otherwise, how could you hear such a sentence? A word that is not human. Allergic to strangers, water scent. The two girls were obviously also stunned. Then the two stood in place and did not go any further. At this time, the boy who was playing with him just now came over with water and shouted at him, "Brother Yao, do you want to drink mine? I bought too much." The boy was wearing a pair of glasses, and it seemed that the relationship between the two was pretty good. He said in a friendly tone, "Drink my drink." Qi Yao didn't answer either. "Get out, I'm also allergic to your water." Lin Jixia had no doubts that no one would dare to deliver water to Qi Yao in the days to come. She also vaguely sensed the meaning of the phrase "will be rejected miserably" on the forum. Qi Yao didn't take anyone's water, and walked straight to Lin Jixia's side. Then he took the water in her hand and unscrewed the bottle cap. On the way back from school, Lin Jixia emphasized her hard work in physical education class. "The sun is so big, I sat under the sun and brought you water for a class. Qi Yao, you won't find a place without the sun." Lin Jixia almost choked. "If you don't know how to chat, you don't have to chat with me. There are many pedestrians on the way to the station, most of them are students. There is an alley outside Cheng'an No. 2 Middle School, and the long alley has been turned into shops." From the moment Lin Jixia walked out of the school gate, her eyes fell on the milk tea shop in the opposite alley. Seeing that the distance between the two of them was getting closer and closer to the milk tea shop, she finally expressed her ultimate goal, "Anyway, if someone can invite if I drink a cup of milk tea, I won't bother with him about posting a class, the milk tea needs half sugar." While talking, the two happened to walk to the door of the milk tea shop. Before she could finish her sentence, Qi Yao had already finished the second half of the sentence for her to the clerk, "Half sugar, remove ice, add more pearls." The clerk placed the order as he said, looked up and asked, "Just one cup? Take it away or drink it now." Lin Jixia stood behind Qi Yao. She was short, she put her feet on her feet and tried to stand up from behind him, and shouted crisply, "Just one cup, he won't drink." "Pack it, thank you sister." The clerk is not really young. Suddenly being called sister, she couldn't help laughing. "Okay, I'll give you more pearls for free, so you don't need to pay more." Lin Jixia lost her temper quickly. With milk tea to drink, she stopped fussing about it. Along the way, they happily chatted with Qi Yao while holding milk tea. "Lin Jixia, by the way, guess how many points I got in the exam on the first day of school, guess the higher point, and guess boldly." "Qi Yao, 2 digits." Lin Jixia felt offended. "You look down on someone, you only take the double-digit test." "Qi Yao, I got full marks in the exam." Lin Jixia Xin said that the chat would end here. She didn't want to say another word to Qi Yao. However, after the two arrived at the station, while waiting for the bus, she couldn't hold back. "I just wanted to ask you a question in class, why aren't you allergic to my water?" Qi Yao stood by the side of the bus shelter, and when he heard this, he turned his head slightly and glanced at her. "Your water. If I remember correctly, I paid for the bottle of water. Let's end the chat here. Lin Jixia took a sip of milk tea silently, and soon the scar healed and she forgot the pain. She wanted to ask Shi Yao if she had finished her homework, but when the words came to her lips, she remembered that she would not go to class tomorrow and had to go to military training. I don't want military training, Lin Jixia complained. Military training is very tiring, and the instructors are very aggressive. After she finished speaking, she paused. Then she said what she valued the most important thing is that the food at the military training base is too bad. Can you not participate? Chi Yao suddenly said, there is a way. Lin Jixia looked at him. Ask for leave to go to the hospital and donate your eyes. Lin Jixia almost bit off the straw in his mouth. She said last time that she looks average. This person remembers to this day. This man, why is he so stingy? While talking, the car just arrived. Before getting in the car, Lin Jixia gritted his teeth and said, I also have a suggestion for you. You should go back and buy more sunscreen. It doesn't look very good in the first place, so as not to make you even uglier if you get tanned. There is a special military training base for military training, more than 20 kilometers away from the school. Before departure, Lin He prepared some daily necessities for her, which filled the entire school bag and another handbag. 5 days, these things should be enough. A change of clothes, and small bottles of toiletries are all in the handbag. Do you want to bring a few more homework? Lin He asked. No need, Lin Jixia hurriedly picked up his things and left. I want to concentrate on military training, and I have to concentrate on doing one thing. I'll talk about the things I'm studying when I come back. After arriving at the school, there are several buses parked outside the school. The bus carried the first-year freshmen to the military training base, and the head of the bus assigned dormitories to each of them. 6 people lived in one room. Lin Jixia and Chen Lin had 4 others in the same group, but they were not very familiar with each other. The girls are divided into one dormitory. There is not much content arranged on the first day of military training. Teacher Su explained with a loudspeaker on the bus, get out of the bus later, get the military training uniform first, and then go to the dormitory to store things, change clothes, and participate in the camp entry ceremony. Listen to the instructor's instructions in the afternoon, and I should teach you how to fold the quilt. The military training base is like a small school, except that there is a very large playground surrounded by several buildings. There is a welcome banner at the gate. The instructors stand in a row and claim their respective class teams. Lin Jixia went to the assigned dormitory with Chen Lin after receiving the military training uniform. The girls' dormitory is next to the boys' bedroom. A 6-person bedroom without a bathroom. When they went, the other 4 girls in the dormitory were changing clothes. One of the girls has a lively personality. She greeted with a smile and said, you guys should wear belts. The waist of these pants is quite big. If you don't have a belt, I can borrow it from you. That girl's name is Tang Shuxuan, and the bed is opposite her. Lin Jixia didn't know her well, so she said no, thank you. On the other hand, Chen Lin, a social expert, responded enthusiastically, I did. Did you bring anything else? I secretly hid some snacks in my bag. Tang Shuxuan didn't continue to answer Chen Lin's words. Instead, she was very enthusiastic about Lin Jixia. Seeing that she was about to put on her clothes, she had to adjust the size of her hat, and said, let me help you. This time Lin Jixia didn't have time to refuse. Tang Shuxuan had already walked behind her and helped her push her hat forward. The activities in the morning were very boring. I stood under the sun and listened to the speeches of the school leaders and the chief instructor of the military training base. The purpose of our military training this time is to train students to bear hardships and stand hard work. Our Cheng'an No. 2 middle school has always not only looked at grades, but must have all-round development of morality, intelligence, physique, art, and labor. Lin Jixia stood in the first row. She was bored listening to it, and took a peek at the far side. However, I couldn't see Yuban at all with this glance. Just when she was about to look away, she vaguely saw a person coming out from the other end. The figure is very familiar. The tall and thin figure came out of the company alone abruptly, and got closer and closer to them. On stage, the principal of number 2 middle school finished his concluding remarks, and then said, "Next, the representative of our freshmen in high school will make a speech." As the words fell, the figure in the distance approached and stood on the stage. The young man was dressed in camouflage uniform, he was unbelievably tall, his military cap was slightly pressed down, and his thick black-like eyebrows were covered by broken hair. He took the microphone, and the voice came out clearly, "Hi everyone, I'm Chi Yao, Class 1, Senior 1. Lin Jixia was a little surprised. But it's not surprising that Chi Yao, who has an admission score that can go to number 1 middle school, will be selected as a freshman representative. After the person on stage was replaced by Chi Yao, she became much more energetic. This spirit comes from the mentality that acquaintances are on the stage, and she is watching the show off the stage. Chen Lin whispered behind her, "The freshman representative is Chi Yao, he is so good." Lin Jixia also whispered, "He doesn't seem to be in a good mood, maybe he doesn't want to go on stage," and was arranged by the teacher forcibly. From Chi Yao's face, Chen Lin couldn't see anything except the word good looking. How can you tell that he is in a bad mood? Lin Jixia also had a hard time answering this question, you can see it right away. Chen Lin just wanted to say no, but soon after she saw the people on the stage adjusted the microphone briefly, she said a very impatient opening remark, "I will just say a few words, don't waste everyone's time, try to be in the room as much as possible. Finish in 3 minutes." After listening to so many lengthy speeches, 3 minutes seemed like a sudden hope to them. The applause was much warmer than before. Of course, the reason for the warm applause. The bigger factor is that this person is Chi Yao. It was the Chi Yao who had been secretly discussed on the forum since the beginning of school. Lin Jixia originally wanted to watch a play, but during the short 3 minutes, she faintly heard whispers from around her. "Chi Yao. I just watched him secretly before. It's the first time I can watch it openly for 3 minutes. Although it's hot, I actually don't mind standing a little longer. If the speaker is him, there is no problem in speaking for 30 minutes. Lin Jixia's mood when watching the play suddenly became a little complicated. The content of the military training in the afternoon was relatively simple. The instructors ran around in each dormitory, making quilts all afternoon. At night, the 6 people in the dormitory went to the bathroom with their things to wash up and then lay on the bed ready to go to bed. In theory, mobile phones are not allowed in military training, but basically everyone secretly hides them in their bags and brings them in. After Lin Jixia turned on the phone, she first told Lin He that she was safe, and then clicked on the chat box with Chi Yao. "Did you sleep?" Probe the other side replied quickly. "No." Lin Jixia huddled under the blanket and typed, "Then what are you doing?" "Chat with the dwarf in the first row of a certain station. You say, who, short, son. Want me to report your ID number?" Without hesitation, Lin Jixia sent a new collection of emoji packs for beating up children. While she was chatting with Chi Yao, Chen Lin and the others were also chatting. Most of the 6 people in the dormitory are day students, and they are new to sharing the room. So after turning off the lights at night, Tang Shuxuan started first, "Let's have a chat." At first, the content of the chat was still about the military training during the day, then Tang Shuxuan mentioned the speech, and along the way, mentioned the freshman representatives. "Lin Jixia," Tang Shuxuan called her name, "I heard that you know Chi Yao." For some reason, she felt that Tang Shuxuan had shown a deliberate closeness to her since the morning. It may be because Chen Lin was clearly talking to her several times, but she always shifted the topic from Chen Lin to her who was not familiar with her. Lin Jixia didn't intend to say more, but just said "Tang Shuxuan, how long have you known each other?" Lin Jixia thought for a while, "Probably, 9 years. Tang Shuxuan, it's been so long, then you two have known each other since you were very young. After the lights were turned off, the dormitory was pitch black, and the voice of the conversation was amplified. Lin Jixia did not continue this topic. Tang Shuxuan spoke again, that. Maybe it's a bit presumptuous to say that, can you give me his contact information? There was a bit of embarrassment in her words. I didn't find it on the forum, and the people in the first class also said that he didn't add friends. Lin Jixia found the reason why she deliberately got close to her. But she couldn't make up her own mind to give Qi Yao's contact information to her. So she said, then I'll ask him. It is already very embarrassing to ask for contact information like this, and to seek my own opinion. Tang Shuxuan subconsciously blocked. Can we not ask him? Let's add a friend. You can tweet me directly on WeChat. After Tang Shuxuan finished speaking, the others followed suit. Lin Jixia couldn't refuse, so he just pushed her a business card. Tang Shuxuan thanked her repeatedly, and after a while, she searched for a contact person, and couldn't help saying, his profile picture is so cute. Chen Lin also became curious, what profile picture? Tang Shuxuan, Mao Mao. Chen Lin couldn't help thinking of Qi Yao's face, is this the contrast in the legend? Lin Jixia, who was chatting with Qi Yao, also glanced at his profile picture. Qi Yao's profile picture is a cat hiding in a cardboard box. This avatar was changed by her. That was about 2 or 3 years ago. The reason for changing the profile picture was actually very naive, but she thought Qi Yao's profile picture wasn't cute enough. Since she always chats with Qi Yao, she hopes that he can change his avatar to a cuter one, and carefully collected a bunch of cute avatars on the internet for him to choose from. She still remembered that Qi Yao asked disdainfully at that time, why should I change? She replied, helps in my physical and mental development. Lin Jixia thought of this, and found that after postponing Qi Yao's contact information, she was a little unhappy. It's hard for her to describe how she feels at the moment, because she has no reason to be unhappy. She lay in bed thinking for a long time. In the end, I think it feels a bit like the person who has been by my side all the time, my good friend. Possibly, it will also be recognized by others. There is an odd sense of private territory being violated. In the end, she tapped the screen of her mobile phone and secretly told herself not to be so stingy. Complete the mental construction. As if looking for something to say, she typed a few words in the chat box with Qi Yao. Qi Yao, have you bought sunscreen yet? But don't get tanned, as your good friend, I sincerely hope that you can maintain your appearance at a normal level. Qi Go, I also hope you can recover soon. At the same time, Tang Shuxuan also sent her a message. Tang Shuxuan, I should listen to the advice of those people in the forum. Tang Shuxuan, I shouldn't ask for contact information. Tang Shuxuan, back then, you should have stopped me. Collapse. Lin Jixia. Other people in the dormitory were chatting and chatting, but there was no sound. Someone must have fallen asleep. She and Tang Shuxuan could only chat on the phone. Tang Shuxuan didn't say much, and sent a screenshot of the chat. In the screenshot, Tang Shuxuan sent a friendly hi after being verified by a friend. Qi Yaowai, who are you? Tang Shuxuan, hello, classmate Qi, I am Tang Shuxuan from class 17, senior 1, can we get to know each other? The cute cat returned 4 words, I don't want to know. The author has something to say, double kill. The boys' dormitory has 8 people in one room, bunk beds. The treatment is worse than that of the girls. There are 2 more beds, which are very crowded. In the same dark dormitory, the boys' side was even more noisy. Qi Yao slept on the upper bunk, half sitting, just finished taking a shower, and was wearing her own clothes. In order to form a team to play games, these boys also added friends to each other. I play on the road, brother Yao, add a friend. Qi Yao reported a series of numbers on the upper bunk. That boy, okay. After he entered the search, he was taken aback when he saw the contact profile picture that popped up. "Your profile picture is quite cute." Qi Yao didn't speak. He was deleting friends, and after deleting the person who added him for no reason, he said, "Someone picked him." "Your sister?" With such a cute profile picture, the boy's first reaction was that Qi Yao probably had more than one child in his family. Girls really like this type of profile picture, but if it was me, I might not be able to stand it for long, and I will find a chance to change it. Lose. It can't be changed. Qi Yao didn't admit it or deny it, but said, "She's not very reasonable, she not only makes trouble, but also cries easily." The other side. Tang Shuxuan looked at the phrase "you are not the other party's friend" and the red exclamation mark that suddenly appeared. She fell silent. Tang Shuxuan, very good. Tang Shuxuan, he deleted me. Lin Jixia didn't know how to comfort her, so she could only type and say, "He is like this, do you know what the note I gave him is?" Tang Shuxuan, what? Lin Jixia, Chigu. Tang Shuxuan, very appropriate. Tang Shuxuan, before I came, someone in the forum advised me. Tang Shuxuan, it's a girl who delivered water to Qi Yao. She said that she suggested that everyone should not deliver water to Qi Yao, and let him die of thirst. I don't know why, but Lin Jixia felt an inexplicable sense of guilt even though it was Qi Yao's rejection, and she sent another sentence after a while, "Don't be sad." Tang Shuxuan was unexpectedly strong, and she soon calmed down. "I'm not sad, there are thousands of men in the world, why do you have to gnaw hard bones? There is a senior in the second year of high school who is also very handsome, I will try it another day." Lin Jixia. A few days after the military training, the intensity increased, and I had to stand in the military posture for an hour every day. I don't know if it was because they were afraid of something, but the instructors in Lin Jixia's class were very fierce and demanding, and they were all punished to stand where they were not satisfied. That day, their class was not in full formation, and the other classes went to eat at noon, but their class was left behind by the instructor. The sun at noon made the military training camp hot. Tang Shuxuan whispered to Lin Jixia secretly, "Although I always dislike the bad food in the cafeteria, it's better to eat something than nothing." After asking for contact information last time, she and Tang Shuxuan unexpectedly got closer and became friends. Lin Jixia, "I'm starving to death." Tang Shuxuan, "My stomach growled just now, no one should have heard it." After a while, Chen Lin said in the back row, "I heard you." Lin Jixia comforted herself, and also comforted them. "By the way, I don't think he will really make us unable to eat." The instructor heard a voice from their side, glanced at them, and asked sharply, "Who is talking? Stand up." Nobody moved. Lin Jixia boldly took a step forward, "Me." "Instructor, what are you talking about? Tell me and listen." Lin Jixia, "I made some small comments." "Instructor, you say." Anyway, Lin Jixia stood up and said, "The body is the capital of the revolution, so eating is very important." However, she underestimated how cruel the instructor was. Her words didn't have any effect, and their class still missed the meal. "I stayed hungry until night, and after dinner in the evening, I felt hungry again not long after. This hunger is not just because there is no food for noon today, it is like a certain flash point. After all, I have not eaten well for several days in a row. This kind of not full is particularly strong this evening." The content of the dormitory night chat that night became the name of the dish. "I want to eat hot pot, I want to eat barbecue." Actually, in our current situation, instant noodles are the most suitable. There is a hot water supply outside the corridor. "Does any one of you bring instant noodles?" There was silence. "Okay, let's go to sleep, there is everything in the dream." They talk about sleeping, but in fact no one can fall asleep. The more you can't sleep, the more hungry you are. Near 10 o'clock, Lin Jixia was under the quilt, clicked on the chat box and took a picture of Qi Yao. The chat interface immediately displayed a take a shot prompt. She thought that Chi Yao must have fallen asleep at this point, but she didn't expect that the other side replied with a, and it returned very quickly. You didn't sleep in the middle of the night, what are you doing? Opposite seconds back. Play games. Lin Jaxia, oh, then you can fight. Chigu, you don't sleep? Lin Jaxia, I can't sleep. Lin Jaxia typed weakly, too hungry to sleep. After saying this, she couldn't help complaining about the instructor, he is simply a pervert, and he won't let us eat at noon. I told him that the body is the capital of the revolution, and he became even angrier after I told him. Chi Yao didn't reply again. Lin Jaxia thought, he's started the game, so he didn't bother him anymore. At the same time, in the boys' dormitory building. Fuck, your big move has slowed down. The other side flashed, chase after. Brother Yao, help, a boy shouted, why are you not moving in the wild? The network card is down. Chi Yao, respond to the message. You can still cut out and reply to the message. Is this the confidence of the strong? Halfway through the game, at the critical moment, the boy said, at this time, even if someone comes to chop me with a knife, I will. If I can stand still, I will run after this wave of output is finished. Another boy said, no, people still need to be a little rational. If I were to, I would finish this wave of output while running. After the two finished speaking, the next second, they received a reminder from their friend to quit the game. There was a movement from the upper bunk. Chi Yao supported the bed with his backhand, and didn't step on the ladder next to him. With his long legs, he could get off the top bunk directly. I'll go out for a while. At this point, you want to go out? Why are you going? And the gate of the military training base is closed, so you are not allowed to go out. Chi Yao pushed open the bedroom door and walked out. Lin Jaxia's bedroom was quiet for nearly 20 minutes. Everyone tried to sleep to resist hunger, but 20 minutes later, a bowel sound suddenly sounded in the silent dormitory. Chen Lin opened her eyes, my stomach is growling. Tang Shuxuan also opened her eyes, I can't sleep at all. I don't know who took the lead, but a few people burst into laughter because of the bowel sounds, completely lost the intention to sleep. Lin Jaxia also laughed for a long time. At this time, the screen of the mobile phone that had been placed next to the pillow suddenly lit up. Is a new message prompt. She slid open her phone and saw that Chi Yao only sent 2 words, go downstairs. Go downstairs? What floor to go down? Her first reaction was to feel inexplicable. The military training base has strict regulations, and it is not allowed to go out after the dormitory lights are turned off. And it's all over. What are you doing downstairs? But based on what she knew about Chi Yao, even though he often behaved badly, it was impossible for him to send her such messages casually to play tricks on her. So Lin Jaxia asked the others aloud, are downstairs, is the downstairs door locked? Chen Lin, it's not locked, it seems that it won't be locked until 12 o'clock, what's wrong? Lin Jaxia, I might have to go down. After finishing speaking, she got up and changed clothes, then took her mobile phone, pushed open the bedroom door like a thief and went out, leaving a sentence before closing the door, comrades, if unfortunately I don't come back, you have to remember, the murderer is Chi Yao from Class 1, Senior 1. At this point, no lights were turned on in either the corridors of the building or the lobby downstairs, only a few street lights outside were on, and the faint lights illuminated the surroundings of the building. Lin Jaxia was wearing loose pajamas and a pair of blue and green underpants. This set of outfits is nothing out of the ordinary and very casual. After she went out, she looked around and couldn't even see anyone. The rubber walkway in front of the dormitory floor was empty, and the men's dormitory next to it had also turned off the lights, and there was no one at all. You had better not kidding me or you are dead, Lin Jaxia squatted, poking the phone screen word by word. I will keep you from seeing the sun tomorrow, I will kill I. Real. Will kill. She didn't dare to get too close to the place with the light source, for fear of being seen by the patrolling teachers, so she could only squat on the side of the building. It was dark and there were mosquitoes everywhere. After she squatted and slapped the 2 mosquitoes to death, Chi Yao replied. This time it is still 2 short words. Look back behind the dormitory building is a fence, which encloses the entire military training base. Lin Jiexia was stunned for a moment when he saw the phrase turn back, and a somewhat unbelievable conjecture popped up. She turned her head, and in the darkness, she saw an unclear figure. That figure was turning in from the outside of the wall. The figure stepped on the edge of the wall, and in the next second, it landed easily with its height advantage. Wait for that person to approach. Only then did she see clearly that the man was still carrying a plastic bag in his hand. Chi Yao! How did you come in over the wall? Lin Jiexia never thought that Chi Yao would appear in front of her in this way. She maintained her squatting posture and looked up at him in shock. The wind at night is different from that during the day, with a slight coolness. Chi Yao said, I'm going out to fight. I'm in a bad mood and my hands are itchy, so I want to find someone to put on a sack and beat me up. Lin Jiexia opened his mouth, then how many did you hit? Chi Yao calmly said, 3 or 4. Lin Jiexia, win. Chi Yao, I didn't win the battle and I should be in the hospital now. You shouldn't be here if you win. Lin Jiexia was shocked, but still had some reason left. It should be in the game. Chi Yao didn't continue to talk about this topic with her, he threw the plastic bag in his hand to her almost as a charity. Lin Jiexia almost picked it up with her face, but was hit by the full plastic bag. It was too dark, and Chi Yao's appearance was too special, so she never noticed the bag, let alone see what was in it. Now that she was holding the bag, she could see clearly. It was full of food, including her favorite milk-flavored biscuits, milk bread, and 2 bags of sugar. Of course, among them, the most striking thing was a few barrels of braised beef noodles that most likely only appeared in her dreams. Lin Jiexia hugged the pile of food and asked, aren't you going to fight? In the middle of the beating, some people cried and begged me to let them go, Chi Yao said, bought a bunch of useless things to bribe me. No matter how slow Lin Jiexia was, she realized that Chi Yao's fight was a lie to her. She had a sense of vertigo that happiness came too suddenly. When they looked at Chi Yao, they felt that this person was very pleasing to the eye today. Lin Jiexia didn't hesitate to praise her, I apologize for what I said a few days ago. In fact, you look like a pan, and your handsome face makes the world change color. It can be said that it is shocking. It's just because I'm too jealous of you that I say you look average. The day I went crazy and praised you as a handsome guy, I couldn't help but say what I wanted, but I was too embarrassed to admit it. As she said, Chang Chi Yao gave a thumbs up. Jealousy is my highest compliment to you. Chi Yao, continue. Lin Jiexia is in a very good mood now, let alone a rainbow fart, just let her blow it all night. I can switch to English too. The streetlights stretched the reflection of the 2 next to each other very long. Lin Jiexia struggled and stumbled into English, I misery about, I saw ya ugly. Chi Yao, the grammar is wrong. Lin Jiexia, oh, my English is not very good, or else. She wanted to say, since you don't want to hear it, let's stop here for the English version. However, Chi Yao did not let her go easily, since you can't restrain your admiration for me so much after you go back, write an English version of no less than 300 words and send it to me. Lin Jiexia. How can someone, to a small composition that brags about his appearance, accept it? So calm? Before parting from Chi Yao, Lin Jiexia held the bag of snacks and thanked him solemnly again, in the future, if you have anything to do, just tell my younger brother, as long as it doesn't violate the law, I will go through fire and water. Chi Yao lowered his eyes, there are more. Lin Jiexia endured the speechlessness in her heart, there is also a small composition, I can write it, but it is only 300 words, small meaning, I am afraid that 300 words cannot express your handsomeness. After Qi Yao left, Lin Jixia tiptoed back to the bedroom. She stood at the door and cleared her throat. Comrades, I'm back, see what I brought back. Chen Lin heard her voice and sat up from the upper bunk. She poked her head and saw that Lin Jixia was like a ghost, turning on the flashlight of her mobile phone with one hand to illuminate herself, and holding up a bucket of instant noodles with the other hand. Lin Jixia posed, and waited for a long time, but Chen Lin didn't respond. Without the joy she expected, Chen Lin lay back down calmly. I'm dreaming. Tang Shuxuan was also awakened by their movement, opened her eyes, and closed them after 2 seconds. It's not easy, I finally fell asleep, and I dreamed of instant noodles. Lin Jixia. This is not a dream. Lin Jixia tugged at Tang Shuxuan's ears. Get up, we have something to eat. After a few minutes, 6 people gathered around the only desk in the dormitory, on which were several barrels of instant noodles. While eating biscuits, they smelled the aroma of instant noodles gradually. Chen Lin, I'm alive. Tang Shuxuan, the best thing I've ever eaten in my life is the instant noodles tonight. After finishing speaking, she asked again, Qi Yao gave it to you. Lin Jixia unpacked a piece of milk bread, chewed it carefully. Well, he went over the wall to buy it. I didn't expect him to be a human being sometimes, Tang Shuxuan said. I unilaterally reconciled with Qi Yao. When it's time for the instant noodles, Tang Shuxuan lifted the lid, but he treats you very well. He climbed over the wall and went out to buy you food. The two of you have such a deep bond. It's okay. Lin Jixia didn't think about this. When she got along with Qi Yao, whether it was quarreling or Qi Yao's charity to her from time to time, she was very used to it. And, it's not without cost. The price is a 300 WORD English composition. Someone soon said, after all, we've known each other for so many years, we're almost like family members, and it's normal. After a few people had enough food and drink, and cleaned up the mess on the table, the night really calmed down. Everyone else fell asleep, and Lin Jixia hid in the quilt and racked her brains to write an essay. For the first 50, she could barely write, but she couldn't help feeling sleepy later, and her English vocabulary bank didn't have enough words, so she clicked on Beta Translate. Translation: You are so handsome, I have never seen anyone as handsome as you. Translation: You're handsome, dazzling, sparkling, aggressive. After barely making up enough words, Lin Jixia was about to go to bed, but before she went to bed, she suddenly thought of the phrase similar to my family. She suddenly realized that she and Qi Yao seemed to be closer than her family. Some things that she couldn't say to Lin He, she could easily say to Qi Yao. Qi Yao is a very suitable partner for those who can't tell their friends, including some unexplained emotions. If she is unhappy, she can scold Qi Yao. Happy, although Qi Yao will pour cold water on her, but she can still be happy with him. Lin Jixia thought of this, and as if her conscience had discovered it, she posted the sentence "good night" at the back of the composition, and a dirty emoticon package, a flower blooming in the center of the screen, and the large characters "my friend" changing between the flowers. The 5-day military training soon entered the countdown. Lin Jixia and the others were still practicing the square formation that they didn't practice yesterday. The boys and girls were divided into 2 teams and walked back and forth, demanding to walk in a straight line. During the break, the girls went to drink water under the shade of the trees. Chen Lin glanced at the playground. Why did our instructor leave? Tang Wengxuan, I don't know. The instructors of the other classes are not here either. They seem to be in a meeting. Lin Jixia didn't care. Maybe we need to organize new activities. I heard that there will be an instructor's performance on the last day. Chen Lin nodded. It should be. Everyone thought it might be to organize a new event. Unexpectedly, before training in the afternoon, instead of training separately as before, they were called together. All the classes were once again led to the podium by the instructors of each class, just like the first day of camping. The weather was so hot that even the wind seemed to have stopped. Perhaps because the weather was too stuffy, Lin Jiaxia's right eyelid couldn't help jumping up. The chief instructor stood on the podium with a stern expression on his face. Holding the microphone, he first glanced slowly at the audience, and then said, "Last night, when the teacher on duty was checking the monitor, he found out someone jumped over the wall and went out. Around 10:30 at night, the tall guy in black clothes with good skills, I hope he can stand up and admit that it's okay to talk about. When I catch you, it won't be so easy to talk about." The originally quiet audience suddenly became a sensation. The military training base is very strictly controlled, and no one thought that they could escape through the wall. It never occurred to me that someone really climbed over the wall and got out. When Lin Jiaxia heard these two sentences, his heart jumped following his eyelids. Chen Lin asked in a low voice, "Isn't it Qi Yao?" Lin Jiaxia hoped it wasn't him. However, apart from him, it seems that there is no other person who fits the characteristics. Since we didn't find out who it was right away, it is estimated that the surveillance footage was not clear, Lin Jiaxia said softly, and the surveillance footage probably did not capture the vicinity of the dormitory building, otherwise they would not be looking for one person, but two people. I'm quite easy to lock, the patterned pants I wore yesterday are very eye-catching. Lin Jiaxia said in his heart that since the monitoring is not clear, maybe this matter can pass like this. However, after the chief instructor maintained the order in the audience, and after saying quiet, the audience fell silent for an instant, and a somewhat familiar voice sounded from the crowd, "I did the translation." The moment the boy walked out of the team, everyone dreamed back to the first day of military training. It's just that he was still the freshman representative at that time, but now he has become the one who overcame the wall. The chief instructor was also taken aback. "What are you doing over the wall?" Qi Yao walked down the stage and said, "Breath." The chief instructor looked at him, "I can't see it, you are quite agile." "It's okay," Qi Yao said, "the wall is not very high." The freshman representative and the person who overcame the wall were actually the same. This reality shocked the chief instructor, so much so that he failed to show his original strength when admonishing him. "Chief instructor, you can't go out selfishly. Do you know the rules? If you feel angry, you have to go out. You pause the training in the afternoon, run 20 laps around the playground, and write a review to me in the evening. Okay, everyone go away." Lin Jiaxia, the instructor of the 7th class, led the class back to the training, turned around and saw someone in the team was distracted. "Why are you in a daze? Let's go." Lin Jiaxia could only follow slowly. Her mind was full of the phrase 20 circles just now. 20 laps. In this weather, run 20 laps. She suddenly felt that the instant noodles meal last night was not tasty at all. When all the classes were training in the afternoon, only Qi Yao took off his military training uniform and ran laps on the playground. Lin Jiaxia told him to remember to buy sunscreen before, otherwise he would get tanned, but it was just a joke. Even after being in the sun for several days, the skin of the young man on the playground was still dazzlingly white. He probably felt hot, so he raised his hand and took off the military training jacket and hat on his body while running. Then when passing by their class, he threw it to a boy. It was the one who brought him water at the stadium last time. Each class stayed still in the small activity area of their own class, first stood in a military posture, and then practiced walking forward. Lin Jiaxia has always walked well, but this time because he couldn't help but glance at the person running around on the playground, he often had the same hands and feet, or made some other mistakes. Some people whispered around, "I'm still running. How many laps has it been?" 4 or 5 laps, there are still a dozen laps. The training ended quickly, and during the break, Chen Lin also felt guilty and said, "I feel very embarrassed." Tang Shuxuan, me too. Chen Lin, but why did he admit it? The surveillance was not very clear. Lin Jixia, who had been silent all this time, wanted to understand the reason for Qi Yao's admission, and said, because he didn't want to involve everyone and be reprimanded, he has always been the one who would admit what he did. Besides, if no one is found, the instructor may also check the monitoring from other angles. Tang Shuxuan, surveillance from other angles, then you are not. Lin Jixia didn't talk anymore. She glanced at the playground, then stood up suddenly. The chief instructor does not need to lead the team himself, the job content is to stand on the sidelines and supervise. He was pacing back and forth when he saw a little girl with a ponytail running towards him from afar. The little girl's fair face was covered with sweat, and she panted and said, "Teacher, instructor." The chief instructor asked, "What's the matter?" Lin Jixia was actually a little apprehensive. But thinking about the 20 laps, I still mustered up the courage to speak, report to the instructor, I want to take the initiative to admit my mistake, in fact, the person who climbed over the wall last night. Chief instructor, what's wrong? Lin Jixia, it's me. The chief instructor was silent. He was silent for a long time. It was so long that Lin Jixia thought that the chief instructor was trying to punish her. Or, they will question why she is only now coming forward and admitting her mistakes. However, your height is not allowed, the chief instructor said after being silent. How do you turn it? You don't need a ladder to turn it now, let me see. Lin Jixia. Indeed, she couldn't turn it over. Chief instructor, and you originally planned, how to explain why you climbed over the wall and got out. Since the lie was exposed at the very beginning, she could only honestly say, I came in a hurry, and I haven't had time to make up this reason yet. Then, she tried to confess the snacks again, but it is true that climbing over the wall has something to do with me, it's all because of me. The chief instructor found it funny and interrupted her, okay, don't say any more. Lin Jixia, it's really me, last night I. Chief instructor, I know. Lin Jixia didn't finish her sentence, she didn't know what the chief instructor knew. Adolescence, I understand how you girls think. Lin Jixia looked shocked, no. Chief instructor, but even if you like someone, you can't do that. Lin Jixia, it's really not. At your age, you should focus on learning, the instructor finally said, I'll pretend I haven't heard what I said today, so you can go back to the team. Lin Jixia couldn't argue with 100 words. Not only did he fail to explain to Qi Yao and share the punishment, but he was also branded as Qi Yao's brainless and fanatical pursuer. She returned to the class and continued to stand in a military posture. Then, during the next break, he ran to bring water to Qi Yao. She followed Qi Yao, and ran with him for a while. Can you still run? Do you want some water? Qi Yao took the water in her hand, took a few sips, and handed it back to him. His broken hair was wet with sweat on his forehead, and he breathed a little when he spoke, it's only 20 laps, not that tired. Lin Jixia, then don't breathe. Qi Yao, you just tell me not to breathe. While talking, the two ran out for a small half circle. Lin Jixia blamed herself a bit, it's all my fault. Qi Yao was not polite and did not evade, it's good that you know. His unceremonious attitude on the contrary dispelled Lin Jixia's guilt towards him. Lin Jixia felt much better, and returned to the normal chat mode, but I think you are also partly responsible. You are not suitable for doing good deeds. You should have let me starve to death in the dormitory yesterday. You're right, Qi Yao said with a smile, next time, I'll definitely starve you to death. Lin Jixia added, actually, I took the initiative to find the instructor just now. I said that I climbed the wall. I wanted to help you share a few laps, but he didn't believe me. Qi Yao, if you grow 20 centimeters taller, there may be some hope. Lin Jixia carried the water and tried to tell herself that with these 20 laps, even if he called her short 20 times, she would not be angry. Fortunately, the coach was not that perverted. When Qi Yao finished the 6th lap, the head coach called him over and asked him to run the rest in batches later. But in the evening the running figure was nowhere to be seen on the playground. Lin Jiexia endured the embarrassment and went to the chief instructor again. "Instructor, has Qi Yao finished running?" The chief instructor looked at her with a look he knew very well. "He is in the infirmary." Lin Jiexia panicked for a moment. She didn't have the time to pay attention to the instructor's teasing this time, and her voice trembled a little when she spoke again. "Infirmary." The chief instructor gave an and was about to continue talking to her. But the girl in front of him seemed to have lost her soul. Before he could finish his words, the next moment, the girl ran directly towards the infirmary. He shook his head, thinking he understood again. The current students are really. The infirmary is next to the cafeteria. The distance is only a few hundred meters, but Lin Jiexia feels that this road is very long. In fact, she had been faintly worried since hearing the 20 laps, so she mustered up the courage to ask the instructor if he could run a few laps for him. Because, only she knew that Qi Yao's previous physical condition was actually not good. This before refers to 9 years ago. She ran all the way through the hot summer wind. As if through this gust of wind, ran into another summer. In the summer 9 years ago, the heat was unbearable, and my ears were filled with the warm singing of cicadas. 7-year-old Lin Jiexia followed Lin He out of the car. The car was parked at the entrance of the alley. The alley was covered with stone bricks, and the blue-grey stone bricks were scorching hot under the scorching sun. Wei Ping was busy getting things out of the car. "Xia xia," Lin He, who was much younger than now, smiled and touched her head, knelt down and said, "This is where we will live together in the future." Lin Jiexia held an old doll in his hand, but did not speak. At that time, she was also very different from now. 7-year-old Lin Jiexia is tall among her peers, very thin, with no expression on her face, and her big eyes are full of defense. The whole person looks like a young hedgehog. Wei Ping moved the suitcase down and smiled at her too. She grabbed the doll tightly and turned her head away. She noticed the road sign erected on the side of the road, so she raised her head with difficulty. South Lane Street. This place was foreign to her. This uncle surnamed Wei is also very strange. Everything is very strange. Lin He said to her, "The house is too messy, and there is a moving truck coming behind. The workers have to unload the goods, and the things have to be moved in and out. Can you sit on the side first? Wait until the moving is over before going in." "Oh." Lin Jiexia responded. So she hugged the old doll in her hand and sat on the steps of the building opposite to watch them move things. The sun is blinding. She watched for a while. Suddenly there was a click sound of the unit door being unlocked behind him. She looked back, against the light, and saw a boy who was about the same height as her. His skin was so pale that he didn't look healthy, and his lips were pale. When his peers still had baby fat on their faces, his facial features had already appeared. It felt very three-dimensional. The chin is thin, and the eyebrows and eyes are beautiful but sick. The author has something to say. The sick man who drank 3 bags of medicine a day when he was a child is online, v. Thinking about it now, Lin Jiexia was briefly confused by this face when she was young. But the time of being deluded does not exceed 10 seconds. Because 10 seconds later, the man opened his mouth in a tone that wanted to fight. "You," he said with downcast eyes, "are in the way. Step aside." Lin Jiexia instantly felt that this face was actually not that good looking. Her personality was very different then, and she was extremely sharp. If this person can speak well, she will feel very embarrassed to sit here and block the way of others. However, it was obvious that the person in front of him almost didn't say the word scroll. Lin Jiexia didn't give him a good face either. "Aren't you good at talking?" "The boy, human language, don't you understand?" "I can understand human speech," Lin Jiexia said with a straight face, "but I couldn't understand the dog barking just now." Because Lin Jiexia also had the attitude of "you deserve to be beaten," the two fell into a stalemate at the entrance of the building. "I repeat, Get out of the way. I won't let it. If you have the ability, you can step over. Neuropathy. Then be careful, I will bite when I go crazy. The first meeting between her and Qi Yao was not pleasant. The two had been naively lined up for more than 10 minutes. Lin He noticed the situation here and raised his voice and asked, Xia Xia, what's the matter? Come here, you can enter the house. Lin Jixia responded. After she finished answering, she felt that the matter could not be left alone, so before she left, she said coldly, let's have a fight. Tomorrow at noon, I'll wait for you here. Lin Jixia ruthlessly imitated the people on the TV posting battles in a childish voice, it's puppies who don't come. In the second half of the day, the weather changed suddenly and a typhoon passed through. Fortunately, the strong wind came and went quickly, and it cleared up again early the next morning. Lin Jixia solemnly waited until noon the next day. Before she went to the appointment, she even ate half a bowl of rice extra. You have a good appetite, Wei Ping said with a smile. Uncle was worried that you were not used to it. Lin Jixia pushed the rice bowl away and said, I'm full, I'll go out for a while. What are you going out for? Lin He asked. Basking in the Sunday. Lin Jixia sat at the door of her own building, guarding the opposite building. 12 o'clock. No one entered or exited the building opposite. 12:30. Still nobody. 1 p.m. The door opened, and an old man came out. She waited until the evening, but didn't wait for the boy to come to the appointment. Lin Jixia didn't think about it, he really didn't want to be a human being. He is a puppy. In the evening, the grandfather went out to throw out the garbage again, and came back quickly. Lin Jixia seized the opportunity to go up and ask, Grandpa, there is a boy with fair skin who is about my height in your building, may I ask if he is here today? At home. At that time, Grandpa Wang was still in good health, and when facing a little girl, he always answered every question, isn't he a handsome little boy? In order to find someone, Lin Jixia forced herself to nod, it's not bad. That's Xiao Yao, he lives right across from me, said Grandpa Wang, he's in the hospital now. Lin Jixia, hey! How could she be hospitalized before she was beaten? Grandpa Wang then explained, didn't there be a typhoon yesterday, it seems that I caught a cold. It was really hard for Lin Jixia to imagine that scene. Yesterday, the boy who was so badly dragged in front of her that he seemed to be able to hit 5 at a time, was blown by the wind when he went out, and fell ill after a night. Where did this sick child come from? Lin Jixia was about to secretly laugh at him in her heart. Seeing Grandpa Wang shaking his head, he said with some distress, that child is also quite pitiful. At such a young age, his parents are often away from home and live alone. I'm not in good health. I go to the hospital every now and then. I don't know what my parents think, but I can feel at ease. No matter how important work is, it's not as important as children. When Lin Jixia heard this, she suddenly wanted to let him go. The second time she met Qi Yao was a week later when she followed Lin He back from the supermarket. For a week, she still hadn't quite adapted to life in her new home. She was carrying a snack bag and saw a familiar figure from a distance. The boy's back is very thin. Even though it is summer, he is still wearing a black windproof jacket and is opening the door of the unit. Lin He went into the room. Lin Jixia thought about it, and ran to the opposite building. She stopped him, hello. The boy's hand that opened the unit door paused, and there were clear needle marks on the back of his hand. Lin Jixia took out a bag of her favorite milk-flavored biscuits from her snack bag, and stuffed it into his hand, here. The other side obviously wanted to say take it. Lin Jixia said with a stern face, I heard that you are sick, you should recover quickly, otherwise I will not be able to defeat you openly. The other person didn't expect her to find such a reason, so he was so stunned that he couldn't return the biscuit to her immediately. After moving into Nangxiang Street for the first month, Lin Jixia got into a fight with someone. The fight was very sensational, and it directly made her famous in the community, and she was scolded by Lin He. However, the object of her fight was not Qi Yao, but He Yang. She wandered around the neighborhood that day. Lin He found a new job nearby, and went to work early in the morning, while Wei Ping had a day off. She didn't want to stay with Wei Ping, so she said after dinner, "Uncle Wei, I'm going out for a walk." Wei Ping was also at a loss. He had never had a child, so he didn't know how to deal with children, and he didn't know how to win Lin Jixia's favor. Then, "Be careful, don't leave the community, it's very dangerous outside." Lin Jixia nodded, "Yes, I see. There is a simple court in the community. Older people often come to play in the evening, and get together after work or school in the evening. At this point in the afternoon, there are more children of her age on the court." At that time, He Yang was a chubby man with a domineering personality, and he called himself the boss of this community. Maybe it's because he's naive enough to be in the second year of middle school, and he really follows behind him a group of brats who recognize him as the boss. "Boss, you hit the ball really high. Boss, you are really accurate. Boss, let's go to the canteen to buy popsicles." Lin Jixia sat on the swing beside her, feeling that these people were naive. She sat for a while, the sun was too hot, and she was about to go home, when she heard someone finally break away from the boss sentence and said, "Look, is that Qi Yao?" She looked along and saw a face she had only seen not long ago. The sick man with a pale complexion was carrying something and passed the road outside the stadium. He Peng Dun was just a brat at that time, taking pleasure in teasing people. "Call him over and let him play with us." Someone said, "He can't handle the ball." Another said, "He's always sick and can't play with us." A group of people laughed together. He Yang put his waist down and shouted arrogantly, "I just want to see him make a fool of himself. He certainly can't play. I'll see what he does. Call him over." Then they slammed the ball out of their hands with a bang. The ball just hit the sick man. At that time Qi Yao did look a little weak. Wearing a coat in summer, with sickly eyebrows and eyes. Although this person's temper doesn't seem to be easy to provoke, it still doesn't prevent someone from wanting to bully him because of his poor physique. "He Yang, that old and sick one, come play, can you play? This scene of bullying the weak is too much." Lin Jixia exploded immediately. She didn't have any gender awareness when she was a child. She didn't know how to write the word reserved, and she didn't know how to be afraid, and she did everything by instinct. So after He Yang finished speaking, Qi Yao hadn't done anything yet, but a girl he had never seen before came out beside him. The girl of the same age kept Qi Yao behind her, then picked up the ball on the ground, and threw it at them without saying a word. "There are so many of them, you can always hit one if you throw them casually. This unlucky guy is He Yang." He Yang covered his face and almost cried. Considering his majesty as the boss, he resisted the burning pain on the bridge of his nose. "Who are you? Why hit me?" Lin Jixia pointed to the sick man behind him. "I, his elder brother." "You want to hit him?" Lin Jixia said seriously with a cold face. "Pass me first." He Yang was stunned by this relationship. When did he have a big brother? "Lin Jixia, you don't care. You are a woman." Although He Yang was angry, he was not extreme. "My mother said you can't hit a woman, so get out of the way." "Lin Jixia, if you can't beat it, just say you can't beat it, don't make excuses." That night, Lin Jixia was kicked out of the house by Lin He because of a fight. She stood at the door of the building hungry and punished. Instead, Wei Ping kept pleading for her, "It's so hot, I've been standing for an hour, let her come in." Lin He's voice became sharp, "Let her stand. Who taught her, fight with someone?" Lin Jixia stood for an hour, until her legs became numb. After waiting for Lin He's voice to subside, she felt that Lin He should not be staring at her, so she sneaked around for a while and sat down on the steps. While beating her legs, she lamented how hard it is to be a big brother. Just when she was distracted, suddenly, a beautiful hand and a bag of milk-flavored biscuits appeared in her sight. Milk biscuits are her favorite brand. The sick man kept a cold face, and he still spoke very aggressively, but this time he turned his eyes away, staggered his eyes from her, and deliberately fell elsewhere. Return you. She and Qi Yao seemed to have gotten to know each other slowly from this time at this very special point in her life. Due to the strangeness brought by the move, from now on a little bit fell down. Lin Jixia, she took the bag of biscuits and said her name, your elder brother's name. Fold is the fold of the fold, Xia is the summer of summer, what's your name? The sick man endured it, and in the end he still put up with the title Big Brother, and nonchalantly threw 2 words at her, Qi Yao. Lin Jixia, have you considered changing your name? I'm not in good health, and I'm still called to take medicine. It doesn't seem very auspicious. From that day on, she began to run to Qi Yao's house frequently. There was no one in Qi Yao's house, no adults nagging in his ears. Although Qi Yao has a temper like a dog, sometimes being with him can be very irritating. After she moved to Nangxiang Street, she transferred to another elementary school. The group of children in the community basically go to this school because it is close. Coincidentally, she and Qi Yao are in the same class, and the class next door is He Yang's class. She had a very bad relationship with He Yang when she was a child. See He Yang once, scold him once. He Yang and his group of younger brothers also hated her very much. Before the title Xiaoji was born, He Peng Dun called her Tigress. So she knew that Qi Yao sometimes didn't even go to school very much, and was often hospitalized, and no one in the class even remembered such a person. Lin Zexia's grades were stable in the middle when he was a child, and he once volunteered to give Qi Yao a lecture when he was hospitalized. I got 80 points in the exam last week, said Lin Zexia, a 3rd grade elementary school student, looking up. The final exam is coming soon. I'm afraid you won't be able to keep up. I'll teach you as much as I can. Qi Yao was lying on the hospital bed, infused with fluid, and then put down the book in his hand. Lin Jixia didn't read what kind of book it was. If she took a second look, she would find that it was a textbook for junior high school that she couldn't understand. She took out her little notebook and the 80-point paper that she was quite satisfied with. Noticing that Qi Yao's eyes were on the 80, she said, you don't have to envy my score, as long as you work harder, you can also score 80. Her self-confidence was shattered after she got her grades at the end of the semester. The teacher smiled and said on the stage, this time the number 1 in our class is Qi Yao, and he got full marks in every subject. Full marks. Full points. Lin Jixia took her test paper with 78 points, which was 2 points behind before, and suddenly fell silent. Where did she get the confidence to go to the hospital and tell Qi Yao so many questions? She is a big idiot. Getting closer to the infirmary, Lin Jixia was panting while running. She thought that these memories would gradually fade because they were too long ago. But no. She remembered everything and every scene 9 years ago very clearly. She also remembered that Qi Yao's health improved unknowingly later. As he grew older, he stopped running to the hospital. Slowly, he grew taller than his peers, and he started playing. After that, his body even became better than his peers. During the flu season, when many people unfortunately fell down with a cold, he was fine. That sick child, Qi Yao, never appeared again. She and Qi Yao also unconsciously became friends with He Yang and the others. Lin Jixia pushed open the door of the infirmary, and called Qi Yao's name in a crying voice. Qi Yao. She pushed open the door and saw Qi Yao lying on the cot in the infirmary. The boy closed his eyes, and he was no longer the same as when he was a child. He was wearing a t-shirt and the clothes were tucked into the loose military trousers. He didn't look like he was sick, but more like an unruly student who went to the infirmary to sleep lazily. Lin Jixia Hong narrowed her eyes and said helplessly, I'm sorry, I would have starved myself to death if I had known, I shouldn't have let you run laps. You must not be in trouble. Lin Jiaxia's hands and feet were cold. Now that the medical science is so advanced, no matter what the disease is, you can actively treat it, and you will be fine. The person on the bed moved. The specific manifestation of this movement is that the boy impatiently raised a hand and put it on his ear. Next second, Lin Jiaxia heard Qi Yao say, I just sprained my foot, so I won't be buried tomorrow.